The Guerrero was right about the shoe. The shoe was not the same in the picture shown in court as the shoe pulled from the evidence bag by Trooper Bukake.
And you mentioned you're at the hospital. There was a sneaker. One.
Yes.
Bukake! Bukake!
Woo! Good evening, friends. It's good to see you guys. I hope everybody's doing well. Happy Wednesday, late Wednesday evening. It's very good to see you guys. I hope everybody's week is going very, very well. So I don't expect a big crowd. I imagine it's a miracle that it's not a miracle. It's a miracle in a way, a little miracle that goes by the name of Jolene Lunzer, who was very, very kind and directed everyone over here. So big shout out and thank you to her for that. And a fire live from her. I was in and out of that. I was in between watching that and Netflix documentary by the name of the Death of a Pastor's Wife, I believe it's called. It's only 3 episodes. So my ADHD, I can only, it's like it's gotten worse over the years because I realized I can't even go to the movies anymore. If I go to the movies, I get so fucking bored. And then I fall asleep or, I can't even go to the movies anymore, even though I used to love going to the movies. But I realized that the last time I went to the movies, I went and saw Spider-Man, and that should have been It was an excellent movie. It should have been a fantastic theater experience, but I'm so spoiled now. Um, Watching movies where I can pause and, you know, whether it's a series or a movie, I treat it the same. Like I pause it when I want to, and then I continue it when, you know, and again, ADHD. See what I did there? So to go back to my original point, so I was going back and forth, and I was watching uh, the death of a pastor's wife, and it's crazy. Like it's not one of those documentaries where there's a lot of twists and turns. It's pretty cut and dry, which is kind of what makes it so infuriating when you watch it. And It's interesting because the alleged victim's attorney, she has a YouTube channel, and I was watching that too because she happened to go live. And she doesn't even really have a following. But you know, she's a lawyer and not a YouTuber, so she's not very YouTube savvy as far as you know, being entertaining and that sort of thing. But she is a very entertaining lady. If you watch that documentary, arguably the best part of the documentary features this lady in it. So um I'm thinking of finding a way to reaching out to her and getting her on the show, hopefully, actually, because I'd really love to talk to her after watching that documentary. I'd really love to talk to her. But if you haven't watched Death of a Pastor's Wife, go watch it. It is infuriating. Like it's really like it really gets under your skin. Now, yes, welcome all the Jolene folks, man. It's really a pleasure to have you guys here. Thank you. So yeah, tonight's just we're just gonna hang out a little bit. We're gonna go over a couple of things in lieu of I know Kaylin's sitting there going, uh-oh. In lieu of the Lindsay Clancy trial, we're going to discuss a little bit of that. We're not going to discuss the trial so much. And yes, Microdots did drop a really, really cool video. I have not watched it yet. I like to play it and react to it, but I like to give those at least a day. You know what I mean? I know that like what I like to do is get, you know, him get the views that he's going to get, and then, you know, get him some more views that he might have missed, you know, by going over here and sharing the link as much as I can and all that. So I like to let that sit up there for, you know, at least a day if I can, which of course I can. But like, you know, I like to do that. And so we'll probably do that tomorrow or the next day. But I watched like the first 30 seconds of it and I was like, oh my God, wow. This Richie just knows how to tell a story, man. He just knows how to like tell a story. He knows how to get your attention and immediately you're glued, right? Like as soon as I saw that, I was just like, oh man, okay, I'm gonna wait and then I'm gonna like react to it when I go live. So like I said, I don't have a big agenda here, but in lieu of the Lindsay Clancy trial that's happening right now, there's I have some thoughts. Like I've been seeing little posts and videos here and there, and listen, folks, I'm going to share an opinion here with you guys, and I I feel like I've reached it, and I feel pretty steadfast on it. But listen, keep in mind, I haven't been following closely to the trial. I've just been checking it out here and there, keeping myself updated on any significant events. But the thing is, so in lieu of that, please feel free to go, hey, you know what? Your opinion doesn't fucking matter, man. Because, if you don't even know all of the details, fair enough. I would be the first one to agree with you in any other circumstance. So this is no different. But I have formed an opinion based on the information that I have gathered. This is a woman who struggled with a lot of mental health issues. It seems as though nobody could really help her get a hold of it, and find a proper way to manage it. She had 3 children. She suffered from postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis. And I don't know anything about that. I am a barren bitch. So, by biology's laws, I am a barren bitch. Okay. So, I don't know. I don't know what a woman goes through, when it comes to something like that. And and in light of that, I feel that that's important, to keep in mind, when forming my opinion. So I do believe, and this is the thing, is I've always said this. The question is, what will happen to Lindsay Clancy? Will she be institutionalized for the rest of her life? Will she be imprisoned for the rest of her life? Basically, those are her 2 choices. There's no judge, I don't think, out there that would ever let this woman just be free. Society just would not allow this. There would be too much of an outrage. It wouldn't happen. And I got to give a shout out to my girl, Kaylin, man. Like, we've been talking on the phone about this, and we don't fully agree. But we can talk about this. We can discuss it, and we don't get angry with each other about it in any way. We are open to seeing things from the other's perspective when we discuss this. This is probably the touchiest subject that I've ever discussed with a significant other that didn't involve the 2 of us. And it's one of the most productive exchanges I've ever had, ironically. So it says a lot about growth. But and we've both kind of changed our opinions a little bit here and there, but I'm to the point now where I feel like most definitely what's bugging me out the most is the hype. Some of y'all out there are fucking crazy. Okay. Some of you women out there are fucking crazy. And I'm not saying that to be sexist, because it's mostly women who are expressing their opinions about this case. And any man who's speaking on it as if they know it all, and they say this is what's right and this is what's wrong, well, I think they're a fucking idiot. But a woman, some of you women out there are fucking crazy, dude. And I'm seeing women literally, there's some weird fucking trend going on where women are like holding their infant babies in their against their like shoulders right here, their heads against their shoulders, and saying, I am Lindsay Clancy. Huh? Because, okay, listen. Now, the argument would clearly be, okay, oh, well, okay, well, they're just saying I've experienced, they're just trying to say that they've experienced PPD, PPP, they've experienced these things, and it's and you know, and they just relate. The problem with that is you're holding a baby and you are literally in writing, relating to somebody who killed her 3 kids and is on trial for it right now. Because this is undeniable. This is what happened. Okay. Now people blaming the husband. I'll get to that. But here's where I'm at. Okay, listen. I know they're not saying it. Andrea Stewie. They're not saying that murder is okay. They're not outright saying it. But I am going to say this. I support 100% Kevin Reddington. Not just for the obvious reasons, but I support Kevin Reddington because I think that Kevin Reddington is a shining example of the balance in the scales of justice, providing that balance, because this case really, really needs that. Because make no mistake, after these tragic events took place, what had to happen is happening. This woman needed to be put on trial for this. Make no mistake about it. This woman absolutely needs to be held accountable for this. And when I say be held accountable, I don't mean punished necessarily. I mean the law, our society has to hold a person who kills their 3 children accountable. And a trial in the American justice system, this is the kind of case that was exactly designed for. This is exactly the kind of case that our justice system was designed for. And that right there is why Kevin Reddington is going to go down in the history books when it comes to this case. And that's real, man. Like, if he doesn't, it's a crime. It's a travesty, because he has handled this case with every possible great, perfect way that you can imagine a defense attorney could approach a case like this. Because we've seen these cases before. We just haven't seen it where the woman ends up in a wheelchair after attempting suicide, right? So that adds a bit of dramatics to it, doesn't it? I don't mean to sound insensitive. I'm just making a point. Right? Now, this is the kind of case, like I said, that like I said, this needed to happen like this, because make no mistake, I want you to be very clear. I want to be very clear with you guys. I do not support Lindsay Clancy. I support Kevin Reddington. I support her right to defend herself. I support his efforts to doing everything in his power and what he was sworn to do to make sure justice is served. But I do not support Lindsay Clancy. I have issues with certain things. Right. Good, Misty. Thank you for that, because I support the way I support her. I even support her pleading not guilty for these reasons, giving it a shot, because what this did was this brought a lot of awareness that this issue seemed to have been lacking prior to this trial. So in that regard, Kevin Reddington is also a hero. Not going to call Lindsay Clancy a hero in this effort. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. But I will call Kevin Reddington a hero in this effort. 100%. And it's an issue that needs to be brought to the forefront. It needs to be discussed. It needs to be so, you know, like it or not, my opinion is, if you murder your 3 children, you have forfeited your right to live in society amongst the rest of us. That is just my personal opinion. Now, however justice is served in that regard, that's up to the courts. I believe in our justice system for that reason. That also includes having faith in it and doing the right thing. So if she is found not guilty, I believe justice was served. If she is put in a mental institution for the rest of her life, I believe justice was served. If she is put in prison for the rest of her life, I still believe justice is served. Why? Because the mental health issue was addressed, and it provided a lot of people and opened a lot of people's eyes to a serious issue that people were begging for a long time needed to have eyes on by more people for a very long time. So that's my personal opinion on the Lindsay Clancy case. And like I said, there's no reason to get upset about it, because you can still say, hey, man, you didn't even watch the entire trial and pay attention to all the testimony and read all the documents. You didn't even do that. So your opinion doesn't matter. And that's perfectly fair. Perfectly fair. I wouldn't think the less of you at all for feeling that way. But based on the information that I do have and what I've seen, now I don't know if Kaylin wants to. I mean, she made a good point today too. That was just kind of like, yeah, yeah. But I don't know if she wants me to share that. I don't like to speak for her or anybody else for that matter, if I can help it. But dueling experts resolving nothing, right? And if anything, seeing that, well, don't worry, babe. I won't say nothing then. It's not that serious. listen, I'm not claiming to cover anything. I'm talking about now. If the issue that I'm addressing is the weird hype following the case, I can tell you, yeah, I can absolutely comment on that because I have eyes and I can see it. It's pretty fucking insane. People hold their baby talking about I'm Lindsay Clancy. Get the fuck out of here. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to live in a world where there's any excuse for a mother murdering her 3 kids. I don't. I'm sorry. I just don't want to live in that world. And you can you can tell me, however you want. You know what I'm saying? You could call me whatever you want. But it's I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it. I that's kind of how I feel about it. I'm really grateful for the law tubers that have been out there covering that, man, because like that's a tough fucking case. That is a tough, crazy case. It's people are going to be talking about it for a long time. But let's move on to the lighter side of some of this stuff. So let's give my man a chance to talk here. This way, I'll know if I'm muted because I'm not reading a article on a different page. So, my apologies for that for the last stream.
Are you concerned though that if they were maybe going to go not guilty, they may now choose manslaughter?
Got to cover the record.
What are the ways that a jury could convict her if they do? What are the different ways they could do that?
So tomorrow you'll hear the judge go through the instructions for first degree, second degree manslaughter, and of course acquittal. And those are the ways that they can convict her.
I'm confused about what Lindsay.
I'm sorry?
Voluntary or involuntary manslaughter?
It would be manslaughter. In Massachusetts, it doesn't really make a difference. They're both the same pretty much.
You're the best thing for women's health ever.
Thank you.
Ever.
Appreciate it.
I'm
I asked
confused.
you this morning, Mr. Reddington, what you hope to convey in the closing. You didn't really have an answer.
Bro, dude is like, he's like a for real, he's like a straight thug, bro. Like he's such a G.
No, I don't.
I
I hope to convey that I truly, care and love. I love her. She's just such a marvelous, sweet, innocent person. She's just amazing and so strong and just trying so hard to get up from. She's just been beat down for 3.5 years, and she feels that she's had a fair trial with the judge, and the jury's been very attentive, and all we can do is hope for the best.
You may
I'm
not answer
confused
this,
about
but
the
women that support her, do you want to say that she said anything about women raising postpartum psychosis?
She's
all
very
the things?
concerned, especially as a labor and delivery nurse. She's very concerned about women's rights.
And look, man, let me make a quick point here. Because Lindsay Clancy may very well be a really, really kind, sweet person. I am not trying to take that away in any way, shape, or form. I don't know her. If Reddington says he cares about her because she's one of the sweetest people he knows, I believe him. But my point being is there's a lot of people, a lot of good people who are in prison for life or were on death row who just did bad things. And it was still just. Because who's to say what's just other than a victim's family or those victims who can't speak for themselves, who's to say what's just? You know what I mean? So, that's just how I feel about it.
The fact that women are pretty much marginalized, I think it's readily apparent. The DSM is a joke. I couldn't get into the social implications in the trial, understandably, but if the United States would take a lesson from Europe, Belgium, England, France, Peru, a lot of these countries, they take care of their women that have psychosis, keep them with their babies. They don't rip the babies away from them and put the women in jail, where we do.
Did Lindsay speak when she was outside on the ground? Because it was confusing that the psychiatrist said that Patrick said she did. But
I
then,
wouldn't believe him if he said in the middle of a blizzard that it was snowing out, okay? So I don't care what the psychiatrist said. You heard that, well, no, you didn't, unfortunately. If you were in the courtroom, you would have heard the tape. She was unable to speak. She just moaned and made grunting noises, that's all.
So why would Patrick say that?
How do I know?
All right, at the charging conference, you were talking about the investigation, the police. Do you think that's something that you're going to bring up in closings?
He's already over this fucking guy, bro.
That's all.
So why would Patrick say that?
How do I know?
All right, at the charging conference, you were talking about the investigation, the police. Do you think that's something that you're going to bring up in closings?
You know, it's a difficult. If you remember back to when I filed the motion,
Bro, this guy eats press for breakfast, bro. Like, he's been doing it forever, dude. Like, this is like, he's like fucking Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven if he never took a break. If William Money in Unforgiven never took a break, that'd be Kevin Reddington. He's the lawyer equivalent. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all.
the bifurcation, I was arguing to the judge, it's difficult because a defendant on a lack of criminal responsibility defense has to basically admit that he or she is guilty before you're able to do that. So you're not able to attack the issue of whether or not the government can prove that the person did the case, but that still is in play. They still have to prove that she was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And then if in fact she's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, then you get into the issue of lack of criminal responsibility.
Okay. Now, I don't know anybody who actually tries. I think it's kind of insane that she thought that she would die from jumping out of a 2-story window. I think that's kind of insane. So yeah. I mean, I take issue with this. Why didn't she throw the kids out the window? I know this is a little bit morbid. Why didn't she throw the kids out the window? If she was so sure that that was a way out, why didn't she do that?
So that's the dilemma that we have, and that's why I filed the motion to bifurcate. So the issue is, yeah, it's still open, and it's up to a jury to decide either way.
And do you think it's going to be tricky for them to understand the criminal responsibility of it all? I mean, we've talked about it throughout this, 5 weeks, but it is confusing for lay people.
It's very confusing. I think.
I mean, that's fair too. Psychosis isn't logical, but that seems a little broad, doesn't it? Can't that almost come off as just like an excuse for anything? Oh, well, I don't know why he fucking decided to do that. He just fucking psychosis is psychosis. What are you going to do? You know what I mean? Now, all I'm doing here is playing devil's advocate. It's up to the jury to figure it out. And when I tell you that whatever the jury decides, I will feel is just, I mean that. Okay? I am someone who genuinely believes that in this case, she had the best defense possible. And every person has the right to that. And I believe this with such passion that I can't even explain it. But I struggle, a lot with this. I'm very sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry to hear that, and I mean that. But I feel as though that there could have been a more effective way that she felt she could have gone. If she genuinely, I feel like that's a fair argument, at least. You know what I'm saying? Is it not a fair argument that to say that she could have thought of something more effective? It was much easier for her to find an effective way to kill those children. Couldn't she have been just as creative with herself? Is all I'm saying. Isn't that a fair argument? I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying, isn't it a fair argument? If you're trying to look at this unbiasedly, I think that you have to ask these questions. I'm not just going to go with, okay, everybody's mad and, we love Kevin Reddington and he's defending her. And, I had PPD when I was pregnant. So, I'm not going to just go by that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to look at this from all points. 3 kids were killed. This is something that you cannot forget. This is something that you cannot deny. And they're getting lost in this. Like they are. It's wild. It's a wild thing to see when you're watching it on social media. When you're just looking at what people are saying and posting, you're going, holy shit. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying genuinely, it's not, I don't feel like it's up to me to decide what her fate should be. What I'm saying is, I am firmly of the opinion that if you show society that you're capable of murdering 3 children, you have forfeited your right to live amongst society with the rest of us in the same privileges. I'm sorry. You can't be trusted. Like, you're going to tell me, like, I love that shit too. Let's imagine that fucking scenario for a second, right? All these I am Lindsay Clancy people, right? Let's imagine that shit. Okay. And let's say she wasn't paralyzed. Because I think that plays a factor in a lot of people's opinions too. Let's say she wasn't paralyzed, right? Let's say and then she goes free. And first of all, if she wasn't paralyzed, would you guys still be going, I am Lindsay Clancy, posing for pictures, holding your baby? Would you still be doing that? Would you still be running around in pink shirts? And maybe you would. But let's just say she isn't paralyzed, right? Let's just say, I know she is, but I'm saying, I'm talking about the hype here. I'm talking about the people following this case. I'm talking about the mob. It's wild watching you guys. It's wild. So let's just say she wasn't paralyzed and then she goes free. All the support, right? And then she goes free. Are you going to like hang out with her? Are you going to let her babysit your kids? It was just PPD, right? Would you trust her with your kids? Would you let her be on the PTA? You know what I'm saying? I'm asking these questions because this is the kind of thing that fascinates me about true crime. It always has. It always has. Right. Would you room with her? Would you let her stay with you? You know what I'm saying? See, that's easy to say. That's real easy to say right there. But I mean, I don't think that there is a lot of normal people out there that would be like, sure, hang out with my kids. I mean, you wouldn't take that chance. Doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you somebody who's like, okay, well, this is somebody who I know killed her own 3 children. What is she going to do with mine? Step back. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to tell me instinctively as parents, you're not going to be that way? I mean, I know this is tough, and I know this is what most people don't want to hear, but I mean, I would venture to say that if you're not asking these questions, you're not thinking this through.
This jury, they paid incredible attention to the trial, to the witnesses, to the judge's instructions. I'm sure they will as well. That's how the system
Mr.
works.
Reddick, did you know that this case
Kevin,
was
can
going
you talk
to?
about manslaughter, the elements of manslaughter, just a bit, because I know we know what first degree is, and we know.
Well, I'll tell you that it's interesting. The whole concept of manslaughter, a little recollection that I have is the Wolanski case, Commonwealth versus Wolanski. Way back when you had the Coconut Grove fire in Boston, and I think Boston College was playing Holy Cross, and it was a huge crowd of people that were going to the hotel, and then of course the bar, an underground restaurant in a bar. And the owner of the place said, lock the doors, don't let anybody in without a cover charge, leave one door open. Place caught on fire. All the people were stacked up like cordwood while he was sleeping in his bed in Worcester. And the Supreme Judicial Court said that a person that acts in a willful, wanton fashion and people die are responsible. And that's how we started the common law concept of manslaughter.
Mr. Reddick,
Kevin,
did you know
is
that
each death
this
going to be
case was
decided
going
separately?
to be as big and as impactful as it's become?
Kevin, is each death going to be decided separately?
Of course,
And
each life mattered.
so do you anticipate that they'll come to a different or the same conclusion with each death?
No idea. It's up to a jury. It's now will be out of our hands. When I say our, I mean the DAs, I mean me and the judge. It's up to a jury.
I just want to ask you about the topic of maternal mental health. Obviously, so many women feel impacted by this and by some of the testimony that we've heard. Did you know it was going to become so connected to people?
No, I don't think anybody expected that it would strike such a chord. I'm glad it did because it's something that had to be done. And I'm very, very happy that in some way I was able to kind of, as a guy, not knowing much about any of this before I started the trial, but I'm appalled. I'm disgusted with these doctors and this healthcare. It's repulsive.
And that's why that right there, folks, is exactly why no matter what the verdict of this case is, what the verdict is here, this man won that trial. I mean, this is really, really important. This is one of those cases where it is the opposite of a waste of your taxpayer money. The Karen Reed trials were a waste of taxpayer money. Turtle Boy's charges and his trial coming up is a big waste of taxpayer money. But this needed to happen. Because now there's a whole lot more eyes on the healthcare system, the mental health care system in this country. There's a whole lot more eyes on it, and it needs it.
Of what happened here.
Are you feeling confident?
I never feel confident. I always just say, look, I try my case and I turn it over to a jury.
So what do you think is the argument that's going to resonate most from your point of view?
I don't know.
Charlie.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So, of course, that's the man right there, folks. Kevin Reddington. Now, we've all seen this 100 times, but I haven't played it on a live yet. And I think we all need a laugh right now. Donovan 9, remember, for 16 months, Reddington deserves a documentary. I agree. That dude's career is amazing. So we've all seen this so many times.
I generally don't talk about how clients react to anything, but, you.
Now look at this asshole right here. Hold on. There he is. Look at this dickhead. Like, you know what? I have a theory. Everybody wants to know where BLT is. BLT went through a wormhole and he came out present day after he aged like 40 years and he's John DePepe. That's what happened here. That's what happened here. This is BLT in a few years. That's what happened. He walked through a wormhole. That's what happened. He shut down everything but his YouTube and walked through a wormhole, and he came out as John DePepe.
You. Yes. Let me tell you something. Yes. I don't want to talk to you again. Why? Because you are a biased weasel.
Not at all.
Okay? Talk to you again. Why? Because you are a biased weasel.
Not-
I don't want to talk to you again. Why? Because you are a biased weasel.
Bro, watch. Look at. You know what's beautiful about this? Bro, like I haven't broken this. I'm so glad I'm doing this because I've never broken this down. So look at how all of the other people fucking swarm behind Reddington right here. Watch. I'm gonna slow it down. Look at the smile on the lady's face with her phone, bro. Everybody is like, yes, this is fucking happening. I've died and gone to heaven. I've been dreaming about this. Like, dude with the beard was like, I jerked off to this in the shower this morning. Like, I can't believe this is happening. This is amazing. Here we go. Watch how they swarm.
Why?
Not at all.
Okay?
That's
You,
ridiculous, Kevin.
ridiculous.
Why?
Oh my God, dude. Look at everybody's like, this is the best shit. Dude, it's like the PP was cursed, bro. Like, the PP, I don't know what happened. Dude, the PP must have done some other shit in a past life, bro. Like some other shit. Like, let's just say he killed 3 kids in a past life. What happened was they sent him here. They sent him here in this life to constantly, his destiny is to be publicly humiliated. And it's somehow self-induced. Rake stepping, fucking Wile E. Coyote tunnel on the wall, right? Like all the PP, like his greatest accomplishments have been being publicly humiliated. First, it was the trolling from Aiden Turtle Boy. The trolling was just fucking wonderful. And then the verdict, the Karen Reed verdict, second trial, acquittal. The PP walks out of the courtroom and is the only one who's booed walking out of the front. He's the only one booed. The whole crowd's booing him. And right after that, Turtle Boy walks out and the crowd erupts. Out of all people, the only person walking out that would have been more effective, like, because the contrast between a cheer and a boo is a big deal. Like, if there's a massive cheer for somebody that you hate happening right after you get booed, that boo, like, it tightens, man. It crushes you more, bro. It fucking squeezes you, dude. You know what I'm saying? It fucking it fucking like constricts you, bro. So imagine that. The only one would have been Karen Reed. And so, like, Turtle Boy walks out and everyone's cheering, dude, like fucking loud as fuck. And it just made those boos that much worse. And now the one case coming out of Boston that arguably as many people, if not more, are talking about is Karen Reed in the last 10 years, right? I don't even think that Melanie Little had as many people in her chat following the covering the Karen Reed trial, the second one. I don't think she did. She might have. I could be wrong, but I don't think she did. A lot of people are watching this and following it. And the most talked about attorney right now is that guy right there. And this guy just fucking wrecked you in a way that most other attorneys are too proud to do. The only time I've ever seen anything close to that, the only time I've ever seen anything close to that is when Grant Tim Bradel was taking questions for reporters after a Turtle Boy hearing. And he was at the steps of the courthouse and Grant asked him something and Tim Bradel goes, does anybody have any questions? And then Grant said something and then he looks at Grant and goes, from a real reporter. That's the closest thing that I've ever seen to this. That's nowhere near the humiliation that the PP is suffering right here. This is amazing. I loved how everybody just swarmed in like that. That was fucking great.
Read what you say about my case. Go read about that guy with the bald head yesterday.
That doctor
you said
yesterday,
that he was the jury
And thank you guys for sending those jewels. I appreciate it.
was eating it up.
they
love
were.
him.
They were. You said
Stay
outside
away
he was a
from me.
nice guy.
Stay the fuck away from me, dude. Like, I'm old school. I will knock you the fuck out. He won't say that because he's smart. But stay the fuck away from me, dude. You fucking stink. Back up. Back up. I mean, dude, like, this is Look at the shot of the PP's hair, bro. Look at that, dude. Look at that shit.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
Bro, I love this shit so much.
Get away from me.
Kevin, you said outside that
Wrong
he was a good
guy.
guy.
Wrong guy.
Bro, look at the fucking oh, that's awesome. Perfect. Michael, thank you for sending me that. That was awesome. I appreciate that, Michael. So let's let's take a look at this real quick. Michael just sent me this. Look. That's crushing, bro. Watch. And then here comes Turtle Boy. Like, this is what happened. Like, let's just say DePepe was an empty can of Steel Reserve, bro. Right? DePepe was an empty can of Steel Reserve that the crowd just fucking threw away, or that God just threw away. And then Turtle Boy comes out and steps on the empty can. This is what happens right here. Look at this. Watch. Crush. He just crushed his dreams, bro. Bro, okay. If Steel Reserve is what you drink, if I can get one of my mods to drop a helpline in the chat, it'd be great. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, my man. So let's that right there. Let's go back to this right here.
You. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
I don't want to talk to you again.
Why?
Because you are biased weasel.
No, I'm not. You are
Ridiculous.
Why? Yes.
Go read what you say about my case. Go read about that guy with the bald head yesterday.
That doctor
you said
yesterday,
that he was the jury was eating it up.
They
love
were.
him.
They were. You said
Stay
outside
away
he
from
was a nice
Stay
guy.
away
Kevin, you said outside he was a
Wrong
good
guy. Wrong guy.
Why?
I was
Wrong guy.
Yo,
He was a good witness.
Stay away from me.
Kirk was a good witness, Kevin. You said it yourself.
Like, look at this guy, bro. Like, if I'm this guy right here, I'm like, dude, you're touching my fucking suit with that, bro, with that jacket, dude. You're touching my suit with that jacket. Like, who knows what the fuck out of this fucking head of yours is falling into the fucking, like, who knows what in here, dude. Look at right here, bro. There's a fucking part that shows his fucking nasty ass fucking head, bro. Where is that shit? Right here, bro. Look at that. Like, who knows what the fuck out of that shit is falling onto that goddamn jacket, right? and and it's like getting on my man's suit that like that dude is like a legit reporter. I mean, as far as mainstream media probably goes, but like, like he's got, he's not doing what the peepee's doing. He's doing something right. And he's like, don't touch me, bro. I love this. Look at these people are eating this up. This lady right here is like, yes. This lady with the mom jeans, she's like, yes.
Sit outside that
Wrong
he was a good
guy. Wrong guy.
Why?
I was talking about
Bro,
somebody
look
else.
at
He was
how
a good witness.
look at how gross that is, bro. Shit is fucking nasty, dude. Bro, the pee, bro. Like, what is happening with your life, bro? Like, how do you? And he pulled that shit. He pulled that shit with Karen Reed too, like talking about jury reactions, just lying about jury reaction, lying when it comes to jury reactions, like crazy, like, and always going the opposition. Like he's one of those idiots that just thinks, oh well, if I go the opposition to what the consensus is, then that's it. Which shows that he has no respect for the public, which is who he's hoping to win over with his writing and his reporting. So he has no respect for them because he just won't report honestly. He just thinks like, oh, well, if I go the opposition, I'll piss some people off maybe and they'll hate watch me. But you're not even good at that. You're just good at looking fucking stupid. Like nobody looks stupid better than fucking DePepe. Like nobody is better at looking like a fucking loser life retard than John DePepe, bro. Nobody. Like it's fucking great. Like there's no, it's like it's what he's a pro to do. I mean, think about this, dude. Like if they make a Turtle Boy movie and DePepe isn't like one of the main side characters that's just constant comedy relief, I would write DePepe's character in that movie. If I was writing the screenplay, I'd write DePepe's character in all through the movie, like little fucking things just to keep the audience laughing no matter what. So that no matter what, when you walk out of that theater or you turn it off, in my case, at your house, you're fucking cracking up through the whole thing. You walk away going, that was a fun fucking movie. Because I'm telling you right now, there's a shit ton of stuff about Turtle Boy's story since I've been following it. Just since I've been following it. That would fucking make for a hilarious fucking movie. Like I stand by it, dude. You fucking make Grant Smith Ellis a character in this movie, dude. Like, just think about how dramatic you can make that. Think about how dramatic you can make the heel turn, like, or the face turn in his case. Like he was this fucking heel, Grant Smith Ellis. Everyone hated Grant a year ago. A year ago, everyone hated Grant. Now everyone fucking loves him, including me. I always liked Grant, but everyone hated Grant. Now everyone loves him. Amazing. And he's just a funny character, dude. Yeah, like the guy fucking went to court as a fucking reporter holding fucking, oh my God, holding his pants up with rope. And of course it's Turtle Boy holding a camera to him going, dude, is that rope holding your pants up, dude? This whole thing is fucking wild. It's very, very funny. Like all of this. Like you can make a whole full on series, a full season, 15 episodes that cover Massachusetts trials in the greater Boston area in the last fucking 3 years. You know what I mean? Like if you count Karen Reed, Turtle Boy, Lindsay Clancy, fucking Kelsey Fitzsimmons, throw all that shit in there. Fucking Walsh. I mean, dude, it'd be insane.
Stay away from me.
Kirk was a good witness, Kevin. You said it yourself.
Like, and the way that he follows around Kirk was a good witness, Kevin. He's like, what do you mean? Kirk was a good witness, Kevin. You said it yourself. Like, the dude just destroyed any credibility that he had, and he has none. Like, that's the funny thing about the peepee. He has no credibility at all. Zero. He hasn't this entire time. Like, not at all. Not even a little bit. He's never had any credibility. He's never had any respect amongst any of the other press. Everyone hates him. Like, I don't know if Plevin disappeared. He might. I hope not the worst. Yeah, I watched Grant too, but not for the reasons you watch him. You watch him because you're on Steel Reserve. That shit makes you do things that you don't fucking really can't explain. But what else are we gonna go over, man? We had a few things I wanted to go over. Oh my God, no way. Jesus Christ. Oh, okay. Fucking Macro Machado is live right now. Like, she does that every time, like, somebody goes live talking about her to, like, try to counter it. She's like, I don't want my bunnies over there giving them views. So I'm gonna go live so my bunions can come over here. Like, yeah, it's very funny. I've been enjoying Aiden's decimation of her lately. I've really been enjoying it. I don't understand how these people don't learn. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand how these people don't learn. Like, you're not gonna like you're not gonna like attack and it's funny because people make Aiden out to be like he's this guy that like he just will just because he doesn't like you, he'll go destroy you. You know, if things go belly up between you, he'll go destroy you. Right. But like, it's always somebody who just keeps going after him nonstop until he's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it loose. I'm gonna let everybody know what's up. You know? Like, it's something that always fucking happens. And I don't understand like people why like nobody learns from somebody else's mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like Meredith was going after everybody, dude. Like everybody. And even at the beginning of that, like when that started, Aiden was like asking people. He asked me, like, please, you know, don't say nothing. I just want her to go away. You know, I just want her to go away. Don't fucking say nothing bad about her. I just want this to end. If everybody could be cool, then I'd rather that. Like that. That's how it was. But she just kept going and going and going and going. Like, it's silly. I don't understand how people don't learn from this and just don't see it every time. All right, I was going to go over this. Oh, this fucking guy. Yeah, this is kind of a petty. I'll wait. I'll do a real petty and soon. But we are going to go over this. This is just, I'm not going to do this without, I mean, it just doesn't feel right. Like, I went over Aiden's and I want to just see how this turned out because I hadn't watched it.
Good afternoon, jerks. How you doing, ladies? Ladies in the chat. Got an early special show today. We stopped the streaming of the Lindsay Clancy. We're not covering Tupac right now. We'll cover that stuff later tonight. But good.
So this is Cryford's going to have this Dave. God, I keep forgetting that dude's fucking last name. Dave Wash or some shit like that. Dave Welch or Wedge. Dave, what is it? Dave is Dave, right? Dave Wedge. This guy's a fucking idiot. Like, I mean, he's not a total idiot because what he does is he finds crime cases and then he just basically does the like bare minimum research, and then he writes a book about it. You know, like,
because we have a special big time guest. I'm a little excited.
It's a special big time guest. It should be a special big time guest, but it's not.
Yeah, hopefully I don't talk too much today. You know, when I get excited about a guest, I end up talking too much. This is a guy who is a real journalist. He's written 8 books. He's a New York Times bestseller. And what I like about him the most, he's a local guy. He's a friend of a lot of my friends from journalism and music. Let me just read his little blurb in his latest book. He's Dave Wedge is a New York Times bestseller author and an award-winning investigative journalist who wrote for the Boston Herald for 14 years. That's where
and yet he didn't know jack shit about the book that he wrote. Amazing. That's a hell of an accomplishment. Like, to write a book and you're a three-time New York Times best-selling author. You've written 8 books and you don't even know anything about the latest book that you just wrote. That's an amazing feat. How do you manage to fucking not know anything about the book that you wrote? And how do you manage to not even know anything in the book? Like, how do you manage to not actually have any real right information in the book? Correct information.
discovered his work. He used to write about music as well as like local news, especially like politics, what Menino was doing. His book about the 2013 Boston Marathon attacks, Boston Strong, A City's Triumph Over Tragedy, was adapted for the 2016 movie Patriots Day, starring Mark Wahlberg, by the way, another local guy. He has written bestsellers about Tom Brady and Deflategate, Whitey Bulger, and John Lennon. His most recent books, Riding with Evil, taking down the notorious pagan motorcycle gang, and Blood and Hate, the untold story of marvelous Marvin Hagler. That's the one I want to read. That's like apparently going to become a movie too, maybe too. So let's check him out. He's got his latest book is huge. I've read it. I really like this book. I think it's well done. I know a lot of people are nitpicking because they don't like maybe some of the conclusions or the lack of conclusions, not picking a side. But this book reports new stories about John O'Keefe specifically, and a lot of it comes from the family, which I like because they haven't. This is like the first time we're hearing some of these stories. I'm going to mention some of them. I'm going to turn to page 55 specifically, but I'm excited. This is a local guy. And of course, how you today? I gotta say, like,
Thanks for the
I
kind
don't think
intro.
everyone's probably gets as excited as I do, but you're like a big deal for me. You're a
Oh, Fish
journalist.
Haven, what's up?
I like what you do. I like who you are. Been following you for a long time, and I think I want to be more like Dave Wedge in my life. I just think that more and more as I watch you go through life. And you called me anti-authoritarian in the book, and I was like, that's the only thing I think he got wrong. And then I was like, wait a minute, he's still right. Even though I have politicians on the show.
Authoritarian, Mike. I mean,
I know we
is
both
anyone
are.
authoritarian.
I know.
That's not, it doesn't, that, who cares that he said that? That was only Mike seeing an opportunity, and he couldn't wait to mention that he was mentioned in this book. That's all that was, by the way. That has nothing to do. I mean, you called me an anti-authoritarian. Well, fucking isn't everybody? What is Oh my God, you called me a YouTuber. Aren't you? Like, calm down, bro. Okay, yeah. You were mentioned in a book that fucking got everything wrong.
No.
No,
Yeah.
I
was like, that's actually a compliment. It was
a
fun.
compliment. You know, you as we talked before I came on, we have a lot of mutual friends, and you come from that world of the dig where I had some.
Look at his stupid fucking face. Like, look at look at when he's not even happy about having the guest on. He's happy that his name is mentioned in this book. That's it. And that's all he cares about. I promise you that. Good, Natalie, member for 10 months. So happy to be here with you, Will, and two black guys. Okay, now it's a party.
Roots as well. And, we were all a bunch of kind of counterculture, challenge the establishment sort of people. And I know you originally from your cannabis work. So that's the anti-authoritarian piece. And certainly, we can talk about this another episode maybe someday, but that's coming back now where they're trying to re-criminalize it, which is kind of nuts, but forget that.
Anyway. And you're right too. I am like, because even with Free Karen Reed,
this is the it's like he wrote a book about Cryford. That's what Cryford's trying to do here. Like, he's this fuck. He's trying to make him. Yeah, he's trying to make it seem like this book has this big insight on Cryford, like a whole chapter.
I bucked the trend recently. Some people have noticed. Even there, I was anti-authoritarian. So I guess I still am, even though some people think I'm establishment now.
Yeah,
it's funny how people
people love to put labels on everything, but it's you wear your heart on your sleeve, and you get your opinions out there. So I applaud you, and I think you've done a lot.
Wait, they made the movie already about this?
A lot of good work in this space. I'm glad to be on. So
yeah, I'm excited to have you here. You, like I said, you graduated Brockton High School, public school guy, just like I am, like a lot of us, a lot of people in the audience. You didn't go to
public school guy. I mean, I guess in Massachusetts, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like, somehow that's got to be specified from time to time is whether somebody was private or public school. I guess that's a Massachusetts thing, really.
Some big fancy private high school. I think that sets you apart from just a lot of big time journalists and
I mean, is it, or is Kryfer just full of shit? Like, is he just saying that? Just that's one of his many dumb shits that comes out of his mouth.
out there, because a lot of them, let's be clear, they're Ivy School people. They're people that have come from means and money, and that's one of the reasons why I'm excited about having you here, because you are really a working class journalist. You put in your dues, 14 years at the Herald, and now you've kind of made it. But I imagine it's not as big of a deal as I think and other people think. But how does that feel, though? I mean, you are kind of a local hero now.
No, I appreciate that, Mike. I do. You know, I work hard, and I certainly went. You know, I went to a good school. I went to Boston College, so it's not like I don't have some sort of that pedigree. But I did. I was a Brockton High kid. Grew up playing hockey. My dad owned movie theaters and was an accountant, and I have two sisters, and we grew up middle class, upper middle class even. We had a nice house in Brockton, in a nice neighborhood, and my dad did pretty well for himself, was able to send me to Boston College, and but going to Brockton High really prepared me for this life that I
just say rich. Like upper middle class is like, I mean, come on. Like your dad owned movie theaters, depending on how many. But you got to think a movie theater is, in theory, I don't really know that much about it, but a movie theater in theory is kind of a lot like owning a gym, right? Once you have everything in there you need, it's all profit. Like it's all profit. Think about it. You're not using product, right? You don't have any product costs, production costs. You know what I mean? Like you're just renting seats. You know what I mean? You just got to keep the place clean and sell popcorn and candy at ridiculously high prices. Like the popcorn alone, the profit that is made off of popcorn, like think about that. Dude, like a bucket of popcorn that would cost you fucking $9, right? A bucket that will cost you $9 probably cost the movie theater 10 cents to make. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of profit. It's a lot of profit. So owning several movie theaters, depending on the kind of movie theaters, depends. But like if he owns a chain of Regal Cinemas, or he's a franchisee of a bunch of AMC theaters, dude's doing really well. And I mean really well. So, I mean, upper middle class, it's probably rich.
I have, it gave me my street smarts, which, my knucklehead friends will tell you I don't have any, but people that don't know me think I do. So that's kind of a superhero cloak. But listen,
I don't know you, and I don't think you do at all.
Listen, I work really hard, and I busted my ass to get where I am. And I started off in newspapers at the Taunton Gazette, and that's where I really paid my dues, was in the newspaper in Taunton, covering crime in that city in the early 90s and mid 90s. And then I went to the paper in Attleboro, same thing, just busted my ass. But my goal was always to get to the Boston Herald to write a book. That was my goal in life. I've achieved both and then some. I ended up getting to the Herald in 1999. As I told you before we got on, I actually left journalism for a year and went and taught high school English at Brockton High. And I thought about continuing on and being an English teacher, but it was just
I thought about moving on, becoming an English teacher, but it's a hell of a thing when you get atomic wedgies from the students, you know, and you're the teacher. It's crazy. It's a hell of a thing to get stuffed in a locker by your own students. I mean, I just couldn't handle it. So I decided, you know, all right, I'll just fucking tell a bunch of lies for a living. That's what I'll do.
It wasn't for me, and I really had the passion for storytelling. I as a little kid, I always wanted to write books and movies, and like I said, my dad was in the movie business. He owned small movie theaters in Brockton and around New England. So I grew up going to all the movies, and he'd take me to the screenings. Like when Star Wars came out in 1977, I got to go and see it before it was in the theaters with my dad at like a private screening for all the theater owners. So I was always enamored and loved that whole world. And so when I got older, I was like, all right, I want to write books. I want to write movies. You can't just walk into a TV station or a movie studio and say, I'd like a job, please. You know, you have to pay your dues. So I had to make a living, and I was like, I need to become a professional writer. So I got into journalism and I started writing, and I wrote every day, and I haven't stopped since. And got to the Herald in '99 and 14 years. And then if
you know why I'm laughing? Because this is like some passive aggressive shit. Like, because this is like almost immediately following Aiden's interview with this guy. And Aiden was like really trying to get the guy fired up about him being a fellow journalist and being charged with doing his job, right? And this guy chose to just patronize him and condescend him and you know, and treat him like he wasn't a real journalist because he didn't do all of this. Because you can't just, you know, just walk into some place and blah 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 blah, you know. And so this bitter fuck can't wait, because he went back and listened to it and watched the chat and probably heard me talk about it, and you know, and then he ends up on here and he takes these passive aggressive little jabs like, oh, you know, don't just walk into a place. You got to pay your dues. Shut the fuck up.
You know, if you want me to keep rambling, I'll lay out what happened. I mean, I covered everything at the Herald. You know, I was sent down to 9/11 that morning when it happened, when the planes hit. We knew they came out of Logan. My boss was like, get in your car and get down there. All the planes are grounded. So I drove into Ground Zero, spent 2 weeks there. You know, that changed me a lot, you know, toughened me up as a reporter and showed me that maybe some of these smaller stories that we were covering weren't as important, you know. And then from there, I continued on the crime beat, mostly courts, crime, you know, Herald, tabloid stuff that you know, we all know and love. And it was quite a rocket ride. And then 2000, I covered a lot of politics in there as well. And in 2013, when the bombs went off,
it was quite a rocket ride.
Boylston Street, I was thrust back into that world of terrorism on the front lines. I was
quite a rocket ride.
Watertown when you know, the bombs were going off and they're looking for Joe Karsanayev, and I was out there like, what's going on in the middle of this chaos?
That was a crazy time.
It was pretty nuts.
I lived right next to MIT, where so like
that's deep. Yeah, that was crazy. That was a crazy time, man. 9/11. I remember I was in America when that happened, and yeah, we know it was crazy, bro. We were there.
For me, it was just a crazy time too, because that night where they
went
from Cambridge to Watertown.
For me, it was
the helicopters over our houses for days. It was just, that was insane.
I was on my way to the shooting of Sean Collier at MIT when we got the call about the bomb. So I was already on my way to MIT.
Right? Yeah.
We heard it on the, you know, we used to have scanners in the news. Photographers would listen, and they heard a shootout going on in Watertown. They gave me the address and I went. And so long story short, after that happened, you know, I covered that for the Herald extensively, kind of led the Herald's coverage and that whole thing with a couple other reporters, and ended up writing a book about that with my great friend Casey Sherman, who's an amazing author as well. We partnered up, wrote that, came Patriots Day, and I've been writing books ever since.
Amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And tell us about this latest book. Why, first of all, why you decided to write this book about Karen Reed and John O'Keefe and this whole thing?
Yeah. So, after.
So honest answer is everybody was talking about it. So, local Boston thing. There's this Turtle Boy guy. I'll be damned if he's gonna fucking do better at this than I am. He didn't pay his dues. So I'm gonna write a book. Who's this guy think he is?
Patriots Day, obviously, more people knew my name.
I wrote Patriots Day, god damn it. Mark Wahlberg was in that shit. Okay?
Name and knew who I was, and I started doing other books. We did a book about Pete Frates and the Ice Bucket Challenge. We did Whitey Bulger. I did my book on the pagans. And
Ryford's like, oh, that's crazy. Yeah, because not to make this about me, because I never do that. But these guys just made fun of my moobs when I did the Ice Bucket Challenge the other day. It's amazing.
All that. So I kind of got this reputation as being like one of the Boston true crime guys or one of the Boston authors that's kind of doing some pretty cool things. So when I had just finished writing my book on the pagans, Riding with Evil, which if you haven't read that one, Mike, I'll get you a copy. That one's awesome. I love that book. It's one of my favorites of all my books. And I was looking for my next story, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. And then this happened in January of 2022. And within a short amount of time, the media coverage was pretty big on this from the beginning. I started getting calls from people like that I knew in the business, people that knew me as a friend, and were like, dude, you got to look at this case. As people that I knew that lived in Canton that were like, something crazy went on here. And people immediately started talking to me about the Albert family and the power they had in town.
Dude, how stupid, dude. BLT is off brooding somewhere right now because he did something really fucking stupid. That's what's going on right now. Little BLT intermission here, folks. BLT is off somewhere brooding and feeling sorry for himself because he did something. He did something that is so embarrassing because it was so stupid, which was make a joke about a missing kid because of his name, as if the kid's name is his fault. Like the kid chose it. I mean, how stupid could you possibly be to do that? And then, I think LV Cops commented on it. He did it under under the Las Vegas Police Department's post, right? And then I think the LV Cops said something to him about it. The people who traveled to Boston all the way from Las Vegas and made them travel all the way in Boston to his studio to be interviewed. All because he has a studio. That's it. It's the only reason. Unreal. And now he's like, oh, I'm gonna drop my Twitter and I'm gonna drop my Facebook and I'm just gonna get off social media altogether. That's what the Glare did. Glare doesn't have a Facebook anymore. Glare doesn't have Twitter anymore. I don't need that shit. Or he's hoping, and this is what my real theory is, it's just another thing for him to do where he's going to get people to be like, I hope BLT is okay. He's going to monitor social media that he's not on anymore, looking for people going, man, I really miss LTL. I really miss Brian. I wish he'd come back. I wish he would join us. I hope he's okay. Blah, 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 blah. Like, all because you did something stupid. You know? Like, all because you just did something stupid. Like, you couldn't just be like, man, you know what? I wasn't thinking about it. You know? It was stupid. You know, I made fun of the kid's name. It just caught me off guard. I don't know what I was thinking. You know, like that's it. You know what I mean? Like you probably get people are still gonna shit on you for it. People are still gonna make fun of you for it. Like you fucked up. It's something you did that you can't take back. You can't undo that shit, right? You made fun of a missing kid because of his name. Like, who the fuck does that? Like, did you mean to do that under a sock account? And right after you were so like outraged over the ALS thing, all of a sudden me and Jimmy are like enemies of the state, bro, because we made fun of because we made fun of this guy's man boobs after he dumped water all over himself and danced around. You know what I mean? Like, that's all that was. Like, everybody did the fucking ice bucket challenge, bro. Like, everybody fucking did that shit. I didn't. Actually, no, I think I did. I think I actually, dude, that shit was like, how many years ago was that? That was like at least 12 years ago, 11, 12 years ago. I don't know. That was a long time ago. But yeah, everybody fucking did the ice bucket challenge, bro. Like everybody was doing that shit. Everybody with a social media was fucking doing that shit.
And they were well known and all this stuff. And pretty early on, this narrative was coming out that like, the full conspiracy wasn't out, but people like something's rotten in Denmark. So I started kind of, paying attention to the case. But I was thinking about doing a book on it. And then before the first trial, I started covering some of those early proceedings, the pretrial proceedings. And I heard a lot of things in those things that kind of raised some more red flags, like when Alan Jackson and them started talking about the supposed dog bites and the missing video and the things like that, that were, some of which have since been debunked. But at the time when they came out, they were a little shocking as a journalist. And to hear Judge Cannoni just kind of not really resolve them and let them hang out there, I was like, that's weird. Like I've never seen that. I've covered hundreds of murders, Mike, in my career. I was one of the top court reporters in Boston for a decade. I've covered, countless
top court reporters in Boston for a decade. Covered hundreds of murders. But this one, I just couldn't get the facts right. Couldn't tell you why.
Court proceedings, and I just never really saw a case where so many questions were just left hanging. So that's what made me initially interested. Thought about doing it, didn't end up doing it, and then I went and wrote my Marvin Hagler book, which came out
What's up,
last year, called Blood and Hate. And shameless plug, Sam Rockwell, the Academy Award winner, owns the rights to that book, and he's developing that with Rosie Perez, who's a co-producer on it.
What?
So that shameless plug, which came out interested.
What
Thought
is
about
this?
doing, were just left hanging. So that's what made me initially interested. Thought about doing it, didn't end up doing it, and then I went and wrote my Marvin Hagler book, which came out last year, called Blood and Hate. And
well, that's because fucking nobody else wrote a book on Marvin Hagler.
Shameless plug with Rosie Perez, who's a co-producer on it. And we're hoping to move that ball forward soon. It's a beautiful story. My hometown, Brockton, it's a story I feel like I was born to tell. So I'm super proud of that book. It was a big passion project. finished the Marvin Hagler book, and my agent at the time, that's when the first trial was gearing up for the first trial. My agent was like, "You're the true crime guy in Boston. You got to write this book." So that's when I jumped in.
Amazing. Yeah, the Marvin Hagler.
Sorry, I'm so long-winded. I just want I
gotta let you know that I pay my dues. That's why I'm long-winded.
I did one of your friends' shows the other night. I didn't get
What'd I say, bro? What did I fucking say, bro? Sorry I'm so long-winded, but I did one of your friends' shows the other day, and he's gonna say some shit. Hold on, here we go.
so long-winded. I just want I did one of your friends' shows the other night. I didn't get so much time to talk.
Friend, yes.
Yeah, this is the guy that was to Aiden's face. Hey, man, like anytime you need anything, call me. Like anytime you want to do this again, anytime you want to talk, I support you. You know that. Blah 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 blah. Right? Yeah, he wishes Billy Bush was his friend. But this also gives the strong indication by the look of both of these little weaselly motherfuckers that before they started the show, they talked the house of shit about Aiden. I guarantee you that's what happened. Like, Kryford, there's no way that Kryford got on the phone call with this guy and didn't take it as an opportunity to talk shit about Aiden. I guarantee you, because he can't help it. He's like, I saw that chat was treating you, and I'll tell you right now, that's not going to happen in my chat. And he totally and this is the thing. Remember when I was saying, like, the reason why there was 5,000 people in Aiden's chat steady during that interview was because of Aiden and not Wedge. This is the fucking truth right here. This probably, let me see. This has been up for, it says 1 day ago. This happened day before yesterday. And it's only at 2.2 thousand views now. 2.2 thousand views now. So, does that tell you that 5,000 people were watching Wedge because he's Boston's true crime guy? Or was 5,000 people watching Wedge because he happened to be on Turtle Boy's channel? Because this fucking speaks volumes. This tells you all you need to know. 2.2 thousand views now. I don't even need to go look at Aiden's. If he had 5,000 people steady the whole time, that's all I need to know. I don't even need to go look at Aiden's to see how many views it's at now.
Yeah, your buddy.
You're my buddy. My good buddy.
Right. That all happened on the phone in private before they got live. Before they went live, they sat there and talked the house of shit about Abe.
Yeah, well, that's the thing here. You will get to talk. The more you talk, the more I feel like I'm doing a good job. I want you to be
right. Yeah, exactly, Wedge. See, the reason why you're going to get to talk is because I don't have any insight at all. And I don't have anything ever interesting to say. So you get to carry my show for me. So that's why you'll never have to worry about me interrupting you. You'll get to talk because I'm going to count on you to run my show.
able to talk.
I just wanted
But
to-
the Marvin
I just wanna
Hagler
say the
thing,
back-
I
the
met
background
him.
stuff's important. It's important, the background,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I met him at one point, Marvin Hagler. I was a big fan as a kid. You know, he
Yeah.
came to like one of our. It was a Yankee homecoming up in Newburyport. One year, he came up and took pictures with us and autographs. And
Yeah, he was a
I was
man of the
always a
people.
Marvin Hagler guy. Like, remember Hagler Hearns,
Oh, yeah.
Leonard Hagler? I was always the one who was like, I'm betting on Marvin Hagler. You owe me lunch.
Yeah, he was a man of the people, and it's funny with that book. That one was fun because that book was a lot more fun than this one because it was a good, fun story. And everywhere I go, people have stories like that, like our age, especially, men and women. Like I met Marvin, and a lot of older people that are like in their 60s, like I used to party with Marvin. He was a good time. Like he partied a lot around Boston and Brockton. He was well known, and so that was a lot of fun. And obviously, I have a lot of passion for the story because Brockton, is a big character in the book, because it's not only home to Marvin but Rocky Marciano, and there's
God.
and the Marvin gym, but they were thinking of the door.
It was a wild time back then.
We were all good places.
But Cape Cod pizza, that's what I remember.
Cape Cod was great.
Yeah.
Still great.
Really good pizza. I love their pizza.
God, this is
The
awful.
Jones is still the barbecue chicken. Oh my God.
There's nothing here. At least Aiden was trying to like talk about things that matter. Like he's like, dude, I'm being fucking charged. Like with witness intimidation. Like I'm facing up to 90 years in prison for doing my job. For getting to the truth. See, this guy is an example of what happens when you write a book about something, when you write a book about the Karen Reed case and you're not willing to actually dig for the truth and do what it takes to get it. This guy's an example of that. This is what you get. You get a half-ass fucking book is what you get. A whole bunch of nothing. A whole bunch of bullshit, a whole bunch of fluff. A whole bunch of, John was a great guy, which it's great to have that. But the fact of the matter is this. I love when people sit there and go, oh, well, the victim got lost in all this. John O'Keefe got lost in all this. Well, the fact is that if he hadn't been framed for murder, if Karen Reed hadn't been framed for his murder, he wouldn't have been. That's the irony. But the fact is I'm sorry, but the world right now, the world doesn't need to be talking about how great of a guy John O'Keefe was. I'm not saying you shouldn't be talking about it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the world doesn't need that to be the topic of conversation necessarily. The topic of conversation needs to be, how do you get him justice now? Now that we got the wrong person acquitted, or the wrongfully accused acquitted, I should say, now that we got that out of the way, now who did it? Who's responsible? And when you avoid that shit, you just went for low-hanging fruit. You just went for the easy shit. Anybody could do that. I could anybody who loses a loved one wants to talk about that loved one, wants to jump to the opportunity to memorialize their good memories of that person. Of course they do. It's easy to go around and be like, hey, I'm writing this book and I want to make it as much about John as I can. Will you sit down and talk to me and tell me some fun stories about him? Tell me what kind of guy you think he was. And okay. All right. Anybody can fucking do that. It's nice. But you hide behind the fact that it's nice so that you don't have to do the real work, the ugly work, the work that calluses your hands, the work that makes you stink. Turtle Boy was willing to do that. He did it. And he's the only one that actually, like, I'm sorry, but the reason why people are talking about this case is not for the reasons that you fucking wrote in your book. That's not why people are talking about this case. The reason why people are talking about this case is because the people who are responsible for John O'Keefe's death are still out there living their best life. Living their best life. That's the problem. And the only guy, the only reporter who did anything about that was Turtle Boy. Closest thing that comes second to that, Ted Daniel. Ted Daniel. Second. And that's because Ted Daniel has bosses. But I know where his heart was. I could tell. Everybody could tell. But that's easy. Anybody could go do a fluff piece on John O'Keefe because anybody who loved the guy, which was a lot of people, would jump to the opportunity to talk about how great he was. Of course they would. Great. That's nice. But the problem is a lot of the people that you trusted to think that they loved him so much are people who helped cover it up. Or at the very least, we're complicit.
Yeah. I sometimes get it for the Frozen stuff, but no, it's not the same. But yeah, the book. I mean, I love this book.
Yeah.
And the reason why I like it is, like I said in the intro, this tells a lot of stories. Like, you're a real journalist. You go in and tell the stories, and you interviewed people, and some of them have really not been interviewed, I think, in this way. There's been a few interviews with like Paul O'Keefe on video, but like a lot of the stories, this is the first time I've ever seen some of the stories about John O'Keefe. And that's what I feel like has been missing from a lot of our coverage, because the family wasn't talking to all of us, and
Right.
nobody's talking to the family. And I want to show this story at page 55 because I think it's
Sure.
important to touch on. But before we even get there, tell us about.
This dude just said the family wasn't talking to any of us. I wonder why that is. And nobody talks to you because you're you, right? But I mean, you think they're going to talk to you, especially since you had Bettero on so much? Like, what do you think? Sit here and act like you're on this guy's level because you're the family wouldn't talk to us, blah, 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 blah. What do you think? Of course not.
Oh, you reaching out to the family, because
Yeah.
I imagine it took a lot to get their trust, especially Paul.
Paul talked to Aiden behind the scenes a lot.
You
It
said you
did.
had spoken to him on the other show. So how did that come about, and what were the conversations like with Paul?
Yeah, so with all my books, I try to be respectful and sensitive to the victims of the case. And in this case, the victim is John O'Keefe, and it's become the Karen Reed case because, of all the trials and tribulations that Karen Reed has gone through, but she's not the victim in the case. John O'Keefe is the victim.
Nope. Sorry. John O'Keefe is a victim in the case. But guess what? John O'Keefe's so-called friends also made her a victim in the case. But when you say things like that, you're telling the world that you think that Karen Reed was guilty but got away with it. She just had good lawyers. And she got away with it. That's what you're implying when you say things like that.
Victim. she might be a victim of prosecutorial misconduct and things like that, but she's not the victim. So I thought.
So right there, he's basically admitting, I don't think she was framed. I think she did it. She's a victim of prosecutorial misconduct. The way that the case was tried is wrong, is what he's saying. So he thinks she's guilty.
Thought it was important, just like I did with the marathon story that I wrote with Casey. We didn't want to tell the story of the terrorists. We wanted to tell the story of the people who experienced this.
Now, if Kryford had any balls at all, he would have went, whoa, just a second there, Professor. Are you saying that you think Karen Reed is guilty? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Because he'd wrestle back on that. He'd say, no, I'm not saying that at all. He'd be like, well, if you're saying that she's only the victim of prosecutorial misconduct, well, then you're saying that she is guilty but got away with it due to prosecutorial misconduct being one of the reasons. But that's what you're saying. What do you mean here? Are you do you think she did it, or because it sounds like you think she did it? I would have absolutely asked him that.
Overcame it, survived, and rebuilt their lives, as well as the stories of the families, people who were lost. So when I was thinking about how to tell this story, I was like, no one knows anything about John O'Keefe. We just know he's a cop, and he took in his niece and his nephew. But this guy had a whole career. He had a whole life. So I wanted to help bring that to life in the story. So I did. And that's kind of how I spoke to the family. I had some mutual friends like you, Mike, and most people that, live around here. We all know someone that has some sort of connection to the case, and know somebody. And in my case, I live very close to Canton. I grew up in Brockton, as we talked about. There's Brockton people involved. There's people I know from Brockton that are friends with people in that town. I have my wife's from Braintree. My sister-in-law graduated with in these situations where the people have to
how long
like
is
you,
this,
or at least respect you. So I'm coming into the room with that because of my track record. So that's a big help.
Oh my God, dude.
Once the family starts talking to me again, I've done this a long time, so I know the right questions to ask, and I know how.
So basically, I use my reputation to make the family feel comfortable to talk to me, and then I just write what they told me about how great of a guy he was. Okay.
How to get people to tell me things that maybe they didn't think was that important, but turns into be a beautiful piece of the story like that. And when Amy Fortney told me that story, she was John's girlfriend before Karen. First of all, I didn't know much about Amy Fortney, so there's a whole story there about their relationship, which was much more intense and longer than people knew about. People thought that Karen.
I mean, look at the guy. He's not exactly giving me, vibes like he's digging tunnels. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I don't think he's packing a malangouche. He's not giving me those kind of vibes.
He was John's only girlfriend. He was in love with Amy Fortney, and they were building a life together. Didn't work out.
Oh my God, nobody gives a fuck.
No, I talked to her several times.
Is it towards the end, maybe?
And I met with her a couple of times. I talked to Alan Jackson several times.
Again, you have upcoming events, but they're all sold out. Are there any?
And I did that. I think I answered his questions, and I don't have any.
Oh, here we go.
To Watertown when I didn't have to. I went down to Ground Zero when I didn't have to. I went out to murder scenes in Taunton when I was 22, 23, 24.
Yeah. And he fucking gotten the person who Googled How Long to Die in Cold Face and asked why she Googled that at a lacrosse game when nobody else was willing to do that. He got in Sergeant Bukaki's face. Michael Proctor's. I mean, and you want to act like he was somehow violating ethical standards in journalism by seeking the truth, by following the evidence and pressuring someone to tell the truth.
Years old, and I didn't have to. I did it because I believe in the pursuit of truth, and I continue to do it in these stories I tell. But it is upsetting to me that there's people close to the O'Keefes that were in that world that weren't happy that I did Turtle Boy at all, and I can understand that because it's the way he's treated the family, and they feel like I'm giving him oxygen and I'm helping him by going on. My intent of going on was not to help him; it was to defend my work in an arena that was going to be extremely hostile and unfair. And I did that. You know, I think I answered his questions, and I don't have any beef with the guy. If you read the book, I
want to wrestled on the same team I did a few years after.
Oh, here we go.
His
that's what
live
happened
bus tour or whatever it is, and he trashed me and called me a liar and said I wasn't, and with hypothermia as a contributing factor. Dr. Scotty.
A week from today, basically. Yeah. A week from this Tuesday is primary day. People are going to be voting. They're already voting, early voting in Norfolk County. But yeah, Tuesday will be the official voting day. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Norfolk County. There's been a lot of questions about your interview with Aiden. People are getting mad because I haven't asked them in the chat. Instead of just asking the individual.
That's because the Aiden is the most interesting thing that could be discussed on this stream that you're conducting right there. That's it. The most interesting thing that this guy has done is be on Aiden's channel. I mean, it is. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if the fucking book is a New York Times bestseller. I don't give a shit. Like, the fact is that the only reason that anybody in the audience wants to hear from this guy is to fucking hear his thoughts about Aiden and his interview.
I figure I'll just let you speak on it if you want to. Is there anything that needs to be corrected or anything you want to say in response to that?
I mean, if there's look, I'm not going to get into a debate with that guy. You know, I will say he was 100% wrong about a couple of things that he has claimed he was right about. Number one, the official cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head and with hypothermia as a contributing factor. Dr. Scotty Bello testified to that twice. That's the official cause of death. And this is where I get into people not understanding courts and the reporting process. Like, there is an official cause of death determined by the medical examiner, period. Because a different medical examiner testified that they disagreed, that's okay. They can testify and have that opinion, but that doesn't make it the official cause of death. So because a different medical expert said, no, there was no hypothermia, the official cause of death is still what the ME determined. The ME, we give them that power.
Like, that's what he's hanging on. Like, that's what he's hanging on. Is whether or not there was this official cause of death. Now, initially, yes, that's what the ME report said. He's right about that. But I can't remember. I watched the trials thoroughly, but I can't remember exactly what was said to settle this argument right now. So I'll let Aiden handle that. But as far as like what he's talking about right here, that's not at all what I was concerned about. What I was concerned about was, why was this guy deliberately avoiding any questions in regards to his opinion on what was happening to Aiden? That's what was concerning me. Why was he, as a journalist who believes in the First Amendment, as a journalist, because shouldn't the First Amendment just be your fucking gospel? Shouldn't that be the wheels that move you? The fuel in your engine The engine itself, well, the engine itself should be getting to the truth and reporting the truth, but shouldn't the First Amendment, this thing that protects you so that you can get to the truth without any hiccups, you have no excuses, basically. Like if you have the First Amendment, you have free speech, you have no excuse to not report the truth. None. It's eliminated for you. So why was he, as a journalist, so afraid to express his opinion on what was happening to Turtle Boy, legally speaking? That was the issue I had.
Or to do that, just like we give a judge the power. So I was right about that, and Aiden should probably admit that he was wrong, but he won't. Instead, he went on his live bus tour or whatever it is, and he trashed me and called me a liar and said I wasn't at the courtroom, said I wasn't on the street when he was screaming cop killer at Matt and Jen McCabe when I was there. I'm just not in the,
I saw that. I saw it
Ian's
live.
video. But
Yeah.
to be honest with you, what happened was I walked away because I thought Matt McCabe, I was afraid someone was going to punch someone. I don't know how Matt McCabe didn't punch him. Like the restraint.
The problem is Turtle Boy always brings receipts. Like, you're a journalist. Why weren't you filming? Don't you have footage of that day? Like, if I was a journalist and I was walking along with those people, I would be recording that. If I have a phone that's able to record, I would be recording that. Especially if I was writing a book. Because I'd be like, I want to get every fucking detail of this. Like, if I was writing a book, I would absolutely put that shit in there. If I was trying to make the O'Keefes look good and make Turtle Boy look bad, right? I would have recorded that incident immediately so that I could sit there and describe everything in detail. I'd study every little part of that video and I'd make a whole chapter out of that shit, talking about the facial expressions from Jen McCabe, Matt McCabe, what must have been going through Matt McCabe's mind through all this ordeal. I mean, you could just illustrate this amazing scenario if you had this on video, because I'm just speculating here. Is wouldn't that be, if I was writing a book on a subject, would I not record everything that I could so that I can study it and describe it better in my book? Make sure I get all the facts perfect, right? So he doesn't produce a video, but Aiden goes back and produces two perspectives. His own, because, you know, he's a journalist, so he recorded the interaction. Imagine that. And Microdots, his perspective. Because, you know, he's also a journalist in his own way and likes to get footage, likes to document things. And yet, in neither one of these, neither pieces of footage provided by those two perspectives do you see Wedge, where he says, I was there, I saw it happen. Why didn't you record it? You know what I mean?
That those people showed while being called cop killers was, you know, it was a tense situation, and I've learned through my 30 years of reporting to keep a little distance when those things happen, because things can get out of control pretty quickly.
You know, Matt McCabe would have leveled him. You know what I found out about Matt McCabe?
What?
He wrestled on the same team I did a few years after Bridgewater State, and
Well,
unlike
he's a
me, he
giant
actually
dude.
placed it in New England. What's
He's a
that?
giant dude. I mean, I'm a pretty good sized guy, but
He
was
placed in
a lot
New
bigger
England.
than me.
Not a lot of guys from Bridgewater placed in New England.
Yeah.
Your buddy there, Gary did. Gary
Oh my God,
Crisco.
bro.
Oh
Remember
yeah,
him?
yeah. I do
I just can't listen to Cryford talk about wrestling, dude.
remember him. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so
and
I mean, you know, so with
I-
regards to that interview, like I went on there as a courtesy.
I can't
You know,
listen to that
I
shit.
went on there because I wanted to have an open conversation about my book, and like I said, my book's an unbiased look at the case. I knew he was going to be difficult, but he kind of grilled me about a lot of things, and he said a few things that were not accurate, and he accused me of like lying, for, like I have some secret agenda. I don't. My agenda is reporting what happened and then telling the truth about the case. And the other thing that he got wrong for you.
No, I mean, I'm not accusing him of having an agenda. I don't think Turtle Boy had ever accused him of having an agenda. But I will say that my issue with him is that he seems to have the only agenda he has is to report, just capitalize on this in the safest manner possible so that he ends up without any litigation worries, without any, he just finds a way to write the most easiest puff piece on this shit. I mean, because I imagine that book is fucking unbelievably boring. I mean, I'm speculating. I sure as fuck don't want to buy it. Because this guy is doing a terrible job of selling his own book. So I don't even want to buy it. But the fact is that I only imagine it being boring. If he's not telling all of the things that have made me interested in this case, any of the things that are making me interested in this case, if he's not talking about that stuff, I don't give a shit. Like, if he's just spewing out, fuck Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, my internet just took a shit. I don't so I had to reboot the router. Sorry about that. Let's get back to this here.
Folks in the comments that want to know is he tried to say that Stephanie Rizzitano, John's cousin, who I interviewed extensively for this book, never met Karen Reed. He said, Karen Reed said that she never met Stephanie Rizzitano. Well, I'm pretty.
He's not. Can you guys still see me? I don't know what's going on with this. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, my shit just went out. It was weird. So no, he corrected himself. He said that Turtle Boy said that Karen said that she never met him. He's like, that's interesting because Karen told me that he had never met her. Okay. So that's all he said. That's what Karen told him.
Sure, he mixed up Stephanie with a different Rizzitano, perhaps Vanessa, because I have photos of Karen and Stephanie together. Karen was dating John when Stephanie was living at the house, helping John raise those kids at One Meadows.
See, I would have had those ready.
So
I'd have had those
I don't
ready.
really give a crap, but
if you do, I would have had those ready. Think about that. What did Aiden do? The first thing Aiden did was he pulled up receipts. Right? He pulled up receipts showing you text message threads with you on, right? Then what he does is he goes on his bus stop live in the morning, and then he goes over and looks to see if you were in any of the footage of when he was asking Jen McCabe and Matt McCabe questions.
people are asking me if I want to correct a few things, those are the things that I know about.
Okay, but if you want to correct it, then correct it. That's not correcting it. Correcting it is showing those pictures that you say you have. Have it ready on his stream, on Cryford's stream.
But anyone that has a question for me, you can go to my website, fire me off a question, find me on social media, ask me a question. I am who I am. I'm the real deal. I don't have any skin in this game, and I don't have any reason to embellish because I've been in so many intense, high-profile situations in journalism and media. I don't have a reason to. Oh yeah, I was there when you were doing it when I really wasn't. Why would I say that? I could care less.
You would say that because it gives you a false sense of credibility, a false look of credibility.
And you don't, Dave. People.
I don't need.
You don't lead with ego. You are for your accomplishments. You are very humble.
Which means he's not really that humble. He's basically saying, he caught himself. He's like, you're a very humble guy. Well, for your accomplishments, you're very humble. Because he just realized that the guy spent the whole goddamn stream talking about himself and how great he is and how much he's the real deal.
Well,
you are everything he's not. And everybody knows that. Anyone with a brain knows that.
Actually, no. Look, and Cryford just did this horribly. This is a bad look for him. Because by saying that, all it does is make people go, this guy feels insecure and he feels inferior to Aiden. He feels threatened by Aiden. He feels inferior and feels threatened by Aiden. Basically, what Kryford just did right here was tell his whole audience that they were behind the scenes and this guy bitched and moaned, complaining about Aiden, and felt clearly insecure and threatened by Aiden in some way. When compared to Aiden, he feels inferior. Look at him right here. I mean, he's like everybody knows how great of a journalist you are, and he's just like, yeah, I appreciate that. Okay.
It's true. You're a stand-up guy. Like you're just.
Well,
not
I
a
know
journalist.
one thing that.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks. And then he just fucking sits there and sucks this guy's dick, fucking massages his feet. So gay.
That was a little upsetting is, I know that some people that are close to the O'Keefe family were mad that I went on there at all. Thank you, Scooter there. I did pay my dues, and I am proud of that. And I won't be humble about that. I have paid my dues. I went out in the middle of the night, to Watertown when I didn't have to. I went down to Ground Zero when I didn't have to. I went out to murder scenes in Taunton when I was 22, 23, 24 years old, and I didn't have to.
I did real journalism one time, so I don't have to do it anymore. I can fake it now. I paid my dues. I paid my dues that earned me the right to fake it, to not ask hard questions, to not ask the people who the evidence indicates have been lying this entire time.
I did it because I believe in the pursuit of truth, and I continue to do it in these stories I tell. But it is upsetting to me that there's people close to the O'Keefes that were in that world that weren't happy that I did Turtle Boy at all, and I can understand that because it's the way he's treated the family, and they feel like I'm giving him oxygen and I'm helping him by going on. My intent of going on was not to help him. It was to defend my work in an arena that was going to be extremely hostile and unfair. And I did that. I think I answered his question.
That's not true at all. It's not true at all. I know that. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but I can only speak for myself. And I went in there with an open mind. And I remember the first thing I noticed was the chat was fucking brutal. It was like my first comment. Yo, the chat in here is fucking brutal. But the problem is that he shows all of the behavioral signs of any person that would typically get torn apart by a Turtle Boy chat. Or even a Glare chat for that matter. I mean, he showed all of the signs. I mean, all he wanted to talk about was his past accomplishments. He didn't even want to talk about the book. He avoided talking about the book. He avoided talking about the subject of the book. That's crazy. Because as I said before, like this guy really just like that's Turtle Boy derangement syndrome right there. That's a perfect example of it as well. When you are so threatened by him, instead of seeing an opportunity, you just wrote a book about the very case that everyone in this channel that you're on, not this one, but the one before that you're complaining about. You were on with the one guy that the majority of people who are following this case respect more than anybody. The one who provided the questions for people to be asking to this day. What happened to John O'Keefe? What really happened to John O'Keefe? That's the one person who did that. You had an opportunity to be in a fucking in a back and forth with this guy, a respectful one, but a back and forth. You had an opportunity to really sell your book. You had an opportunity. You trashed this guy in your book, and instead of being the guy that you were so brave in your book, trashing him, when you're on his channel, you cower to him. And you go, oh, no, you know that I like you. You know that I respect you. You know that blah, 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 blah. You know, and you did this, blah, 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 blah. When I remember I told you that I could see you could have gotten a job in the Boston Herald at one point. I could see that, blah, 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 blah. Like, you could have just fucking been like, you know what, dude? The reason why I stand by that is because I seen you do this, you know? Like, and I don't think that that's right. He could have been so steadfast and stood up to Turtle Boy. And even if he would have lost, he would have effectively sold his book a lot more. Because whether this guy likes it or not, Turtle Boy's going to end up having his own documentary. They're going to probably make a movie about him. Like, whether this guy likes it or not, that's going to happen. And that stuff, this stuff that happens with Aiden now is the stuff that's going to be showcased in these things. And so this guy just screwed his chances of selling a book beyond those events that I just mentioned taking place. Like, think about that. Where he could have just had a back and forth with Aiden and stood his ground and been like, yeah, I think that you're fucking out of line. And he did to some degree. He did say, yeah, I think that some of the stuff you did is unethical, you know, but he avoided saying whether or not he belongs in jail. Yeah, I think it was unfair that they tossed your house. Like, what? That's all you think is wrong? You think that's it? That's the only thing you think was wrong with what's happening to Aiden? Not that if he's convicted, that in Massachusetts, that will set a precedent for people like you to say the wrong thing about somebody and then they can fucking lock you up for it? You could hurt the wrong person's feelings in Massachusetts writing a true crime book and they could lock you up for it? That doesn't scare you? Amazing.
And I don't have any beef with the guy. If you read the book, I've given him more than the credit he deserves. I mean, he's done some great work in his career. I won't take that away from him, but he's definitely a different kind of person than me. And he's a different, he said to me, I'm an activist. That's what he said. So he calls himself an award-winning journalist, but then when it's convenient for him, he calls himself an activist. So is he both? I don't know.
Yeah. 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 You can absolutely be both. Now, in certain cases, you can't be unbiased, but he doesn't claim to be unbiased. He doesn't. I mean, so why does he have to be held to the same standard that mainstream media, which you take such pride in being a part of and paying your dues to get to, why does he have to be held to the standard of being unbiased, but mainstream media doesn't?
No, that I don't care what he is, but if you're asking me, did he cross some lines with regards to journalism? Yeah, he did. He didn't follow the rules of journalism with the things he did. Now, does he deserve to be charged criminally? I don't know. That's for the courts to decide, and the DA and his lawyers, they can fight that out. That's not my call. But I know that if I called Jen McCabe a cop killer on video, I would have been fired from the Boston Herald. Would I have been charged with witness intimidation?
It's because the Boston Herald doesn't have the balls that Turtle Boy does. That's why. Boston Herald's worried about litigation. That's why. You work for Boston Herald. He works for himself. Like you can sit there and act like you're not just bitter about the fact that this dude came along and said, "Hold my beer," while you guys were fucking doing it all wrong. While you guys were towing some corporate line Aiden shows up and he goes, "Why isn't anybody doing this? Why aren't any of you doing this?" "Well, we can't do that." "Really? Watch. Watch this." So stop acting like that's not what bothers you, because that's exactly what bothers you. That's all that bothers you. Is that guy got to show the world that you're not doing anything wrong as a journalist by reporting the truth. You're actually doing what's expected of you. Like, it's okay. You'll be successful if you report the truth and you do things to get to it that a lot of others aren't willing to do. That's basically what he basically said with his actions. Aiden did. I mean,
I don't know, but
And,
that's
and
fact.
it's funny because he wants to frame it too about just that incident. Like, I don't think those words were probably criminally liable, but there are other things he did, other statements he's made.
Yeah, and I
that
was
it's
asked
just
that
like,
question.
like what? Show me one statement that Aiden has made that's a threat. Show me one. Now, I've seen statements that have been twisted to be threats, have been twisted to be perceived as threats to effectively criminally charge him. But Cryford knows perfectly well that Aiden never threatened anybody. Cryford wants him to go to jail out of sheer jealousy and envy. What's up, Olivia? Turtle Boy is an independent journalist, so it's hard to compare his situation to Turtle Boy's. But the question is, why is it even relevant whether he'd be fired from the Herald? This is about criminal charges. Exactly, Olivia. At one point during Aiden's interview with this idiot, he was like, okay, fine. The ethics thing, great. Who cares? Fine. Should I be criminally charged? And this guy made every deliberate effort that he could to avoid expressing his opinion on whether or not a fellow journalist, independent or not, ethical or not, should go to jail. He just wouldn't answer it.
dude, why would you say that? Why would you say that on tape, bro?
I was asked by him if I thought he should be able to call Jen McCabe a cop killer.
That's right. Yeah.
And I said, well, that's protected free speech. Do I think it's a nice thing to say? Do I think it's fair?
That's
No, I don't.
exactly
Do I
the
think it's okay? No, I don't. Would I ever do that? No, I've never.
This is, if I could put this into words perfectly, that's how I would put it. It's Big Earl. This dude legit doesn't know shit about fuck. Writing a book on this shit without even knowing some of the more basic nuances in the case. Fuck this doucher. Well said, sir.
Yelled at someone that they were a cop killer, even an actual proven guilty cop killer. I've never done that in my life, and I wouldn't. It's not the kind of person I am. He's a provocateur. He's got a platform. He wants to do that. His fans like it. Good for him. It's protected free speech.
There you go. There you go. Okay. Now, since you know it's perfected, since you just acknowledged that it was protected free speech, if Cryford had any balls or any interview skills, he would have been like, so you don't feel that he should be put in jail? What he's done, you just said that what he's done is protected free speech. So then you don't think he should be in jail then? Cool.
But he asked me about the other things, and some of the other things where he crossed the line were giving out their personal information, their phone numbers, their addresses, organizing a rally at their home.
that's also free speech, you fucking momo.
You know, that's not journalism, that's
That's the
activism.
part right
And he's
there.
free to do that. He can do that if he wants. But it's up to the courts whether or not that's witness intimidation. And it's up to the court.
Oh my fucking God, dude. It's up to the people, you fucking dipshit. It's up to the people. It's up to the courts whether that's witness intimidation or not. Blah, 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 blah. You just said it was protected free speech. You said all of that shit is protected free speech. All of it. You just said everything that he did. You were like, that's protected free speech. But some of the things that he crossed the line, though, giving out personal information, blah, blah, blah. Then he goes, he has a right to do that. He straight up follows that up with, he has a right to do that. Okay? So now it's up to the courts whether that's witness intimidation or not? No, man. It's up to the people. It's up to the people. The grand jury was misled in the first place. He was indicted under false pretenses. He was indicted based on lies. They were misled. And now he's being charged with a bunch of shit that is protected under free speech, but was twisted to say other things or to mean other things when listed in his charging documents. So, I mean, like, and he already has said, he said on Aiden's show that he didn't look at the statute that was used. He doesn't even know anything about the statute. He doesn't know what it says, nothing. He didn't look up the statute. It's the first thing I did. It's the first fucking thing I did when Aiden was charged. I was like, what law exists where what he did is considered witness intimidation? I need to know. Because that's what an inquisitive person of the most minor level, such as myself, okay, and an ambitious and curious person willing to go that far at the minimum level, like me, would just go, okay, well, I'll just look it up. I'll just look it up. I'll look up the statute, find out for myself. But this guy's proving, because he knows he knows that that's what he should have done. He's the one who brought that up. Aiden didn't go, hey, did you look up the statute? Have you seen the statute? He goes, well, I didn't look up the statute. I don't know anything about the statute that they used to charge you, blah, 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 blah. He gave that information up. What that tells me, again, is that he saw that a guy that he doesn't like and he doesn't respect is getting criminally charged for the things about him that he doesn't like or respect. And he was satisfied with that. He was fine with it because it was somebody that he doesn't like or respect. That's who it was happening to. Otherwise, don't you think he might have been inclined as a journalist, as an inquisitive journalist, to do the bare minimum and look up the statute? Find out?
Courts whether or not he crossed the legal lines. I don't know the answer to that. I haven't looked that deeply into
Neither.
it.
I mean,
journalism wise, he
yeah.
100% cross lines as far as journalism
Exactly.
goes. So
I think it's up to the jury in the end. The jury's going to decide. This is kind of unprecedented, but some of the statements he made were just.
The jury is going to decide. Sure. The jury is going to decide. But the thing I have a problem with is that a jury is going to decide what is free speech. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Because as far as I'm concerned, free speech is free speech. As far as I'm concerned, free speech is fucking absolute. And that's my personal opinion. That's how strongly I feel about free speech. I don't think that you get to cherry pick what is okay and what isn't okay to say. So now I understand laws existing where if somebody makes a threat against somebody's life, then yes, in order to prevent a horrible thing from happening, then sure. But then I have issues. I take issues with sometimes where people will say something that can get twisted easily as a threat. When a person who's saying these things, there's no reason to even find them threatening at all. Yes. Can I help you, buddy? This guy just always jumps up on my lap now when we're doing this. But I love it. Damn, I was gonna open the phone lines. I think I could take like one or two calls. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, free speech is free speech. It's free. Let me see. With this mentality, I guess we should be okay with the government weaponizing its power against citizens, calling out its corruption, exercising the First Amendment rights. That's what we seem to be saying. Right, exactly. Because what we are talking, at the end of the day, what Aiden was talking about here was government corruption. And what he was calling for was government intervention into the justice for John O'Keefe, government intervention into charging the right people, letting the wrong person go and charging the right people. That's what he was talking about. That's what he was trying to do. And since, I mean, isn't that what the First Amendment is actually like designed for? Really? Wonder what these two witnesses, witness intimidation experts here, were thinking of my activities yesterday, tracking down the bad guy and knocking out. Oh yeah, yeah, that was badass. But I mean, yeah, like, yeah, this dude is a whiner. He's just a whiner. Like, he has no stance on anything. I don't think he believes in anything.
It's like, dude, if you don't do this or else, that type of stuff where you're like, if you want this to stop, like that's the stuff that he doesn't.
He's stating a reality. Like, he's stating, technically, Aiden is stating a reality. When he says stuff like, this is going to keep going. This is going to keep happening. When he says things like that, like you're not going to be able to walk around in public. And he's speaking in a very, very impulsive manner, but it's clear that you can tell, like, if you follow his show and you see what he's saying, he's like, this is not going to stop. People are going to bother you wherever you go. That's not Aiden going, hey, if you see this person on the street, you need to fucking yell at them, berate them, blah, blah, blah. He's not saying that shit. He's saying, this is going to happen. People are going to do this to you because all this evidence shows that you're a bunch of lying shitbags. And I'm not going to stop talking about it. And the more I talk about it, the more my popularity grows. And since my popularity grows, well, guess what? The more that shit's just going to happen. Oh my God. Drago, what are you doing? Stop. Drago, don't bite me.
I think we got a super cat. Super cat. I think we got a super cat. Super cat. Super cat. Super cat. we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat.
Lola the good dog. It's good to see you again. Feels like all of us here in the chat and the glare know more details about this case than this guy who wrote the book. Research much, Mr. Journalist? Exactly. That's fucking crazy.
Well, you know, he doesn't ask you about. He asks you about this one specific thing. But I have to say, like, I think you did a really good job on that. I do. You know, it is what it is. You know, and I
Yeah.
think that you tried to be fair. Like, there's nobody on your level, Dave, that's going to be as fair and supportive of him as you were, and he still was a jerk to you.
CC007, thank you so much. Love your sense of humor. Thank you.
I mean, that's
Well,
his
I
fault, not
didn't
yours.
expect, I expected tough questions, but I didn't expect him to kind of grill me and kind of treat me like a hostile witness. Like I watched him on Howie Carr. Howie Carr, like I said, I've known for a long time, and I think him and Howie built a good rapport, and they were respectful. I expected a respectful journalism conversation. I thought it was mostly respectful, and I sent him a message.
It was. I thought it was disrespectful of you to not be outraged for what was happening to a fellow journalist. The reason why it was not respectful was because you didn't respect him as a journalist. That's it. That's the reason why that was not a respectful conversation. You simply did not show him the respect of a fellow journalist.
Message afterwards saying that. I was like, hey, I appreciated the conversation. I don't mind answering tough questions. I mean, if you asked me some things that I was uncomfortable with, Mike, I would answer it. But I don't expect to, after the fact, when I'm gone, then be called a liar when I can't defend myself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's kind of shitty. I don't do that to people. But that's what he does, and he's got shows to fill. So whatever, I'm on to the next one. I got work to do.
You're going to write more books. You're going to be hanging out with Ben. So let me ask you one last question before we go. Ben Affleck, you mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
Do you get to talk to him when you're doing this series? You do a narration. Like, have you talked to him? He seems like he's brilliant, actually.
Ben Affleck. Who says that? Ben Affleck. And why is he asking him about that? Like, hey, is he cool in real life? Like, what?
When you see some of these interviews, he's really a smart dude.
Yeah.
Are you friends with him?
I'm not friends with him. Like, we don't text or anything, but I've been on multiple calls with him over the years. There's been several other projects that we've kind of circled around together in the past and just didn't come together. This one did. So I've been on, a few Zooms with him and some phone calls. And yeah, he's the man, dude. He's in control, and he's one of the smartest people I've ever dealt with. And I'd say the same about Mark Wahlberg in my experiences with him with
Ben Affleck?
Patriots Day. Same thing, I don't hang out with him, but we spent some time together on the set, and I was on some calls with him, and he's a very respectful guy, very smart. People
look at how fucking dude Cryford's such a fucking dipshit, dude. Like, look at this guy just fucking like he's getting a boner over. He's like I've never seen anybody star fuck somebody vicariously. I've never seen a vicarious star fucker. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to like be like, oh my God, like I've talked to Ben Affleck a few times, man. He's fucking so smart. He's so fucking cool, blah, 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 blah. Okay, like that's one thing, right? But to be Cryford to star fuck vicariously, to be like, can you tell me what Ben Affleck is like in real life? Oh my God, is he smart? Tell me how smart he is. Like, are you guys friends? Do you guys hang out? What kind of coffee? What does he like in his coffee? Can you tell me what he likes in his coffee? What, dude? What? What are you doing right now?
again, what we talked about earlier, the hater thing. People love to hate people that are successful and find ways.
Oh my God! Don't mention Maki Mock because I'm gonna come
to knock them down. You know, as I get older, I'm just less of a gatekeeper. And like, are there movies Mark Wahlberg did that I didn't love? Yeah. But there's so many things that he did that I do love. And I choose to focus on the good these days in my life. I love the fact that I've been able to work with him. I love the way that he and Pete.
Hold on. Stop right this fucking second, dude. This guy is not picking and choosing who's making movies out of his book, dude. Okay? This guy's no Hank Moody. Did you catch that one, Professor? He is going to take any fucking movie deal that comes his way. He's got an agent who does the deals, and anybody with a big name who's saying, we want to produce a movie based on your book, and we want to buy the rights to your book. He's going to go, yeah. He's going to go, fuck yeah. And then they negotiate a deal. But there's not fucking, it's not Ben Affleck, Marky Mark, and fucking, all these other Hollywood people that are fucking knocking down his door and going, oh, how much did Ben Affleck offer you? Oh, well, I can offer you this much more. Go with us, blah, blah, blah. That's not happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what's going on here. So don't sit here and be like, well, some of the stuff that Marky Mark did in the past, I didn't like, but the stuff I focus on the positive things that he's done, and that's what helped me go with my decision to work with him. Bullshit, bro. You went with him because you saw the video for Good Vibrations, and you were like, oh shit, that guy's gonna fucking make a movie out of my book. That's what happened. Stop it. You sit there and go, I didn't care for the Basketball Diaries too much, so I don't know. That's not happening. Stop it. Fucking liar. This guy.
Berg handled that very sensitive topic shortly after the bombings happened, and they did it with respect. And most of the survivors, and all the ones that I know certainly, were okay with the movie. They thought it was handled with respect. And those are the kind of people I want to work with. So I'd work with them again in a minute. And so far, this experience with Ben has been amazing. And
I hated Boogie Nights, but I thought The Happening was a really smart movie.
I just had some meetings with this company on some other projects when I was in LA, and I hope to work with them more. They're the best at what they do.
It's amazing. I like the movie Patriots today. I thought it was a good movie. It portrayed.
It's held up well. It's held up well.
Yeah.
It's held up well. I watched it.
I like the movie Patriots Day. I liked it. But if I'm being honest, it's because I don't know really. I didn't know anything that much about the Boston Marathon bombing. I just knew it happened, but I didn't follow the story. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh my God, this is terrible. I heard people got hurt. I heard they caught the guys who did it. And I was like, great. They caught the guys who did it. You know what I'm saying? That's how I looked at it, as I believe I was a Georgian at the time. And, but when the movie happened, I mean, I watched it and I was like, God damn. Because the way I saw it was like, I didn't even know it was all that. I didn't know that there was this manhunt for these two guys, and there was all this shit going on, and there was this fucking crazy shootout. Like, I didn't have any idea of any of that shit. So I was like, holy fuck, this is a true story? When I watched it, I was like, oh my God. But, obviously the Boston locals know a lot more about it in a lot more depth. Like Aiden, he knows about it in a lot more depth. So he didn't like the movie. He thought the movie was shit. Ironically, the movie was based on this guy's book. which is really funny. But I like the movie. You know, to me, it was another. I like Mark Wahlberg. So when I see Mark Wahlberg in a movie, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Year anniversary, and Casey and I had a screening of it with a bunch of people to raise some money and for survivors, and it holds up well. Proud of it.
And all those people, like, you know,
Cryford is the fucking worst. Like, oh man, I'm getting sleepy. I'm sorry, guys. I think I clickbaited you guys a bit. I'm not taking calls, man. I'm tired. Maybe I'll take one or two, but you guys are gonna have to put up with my yawning because I'm tired. But no, man. Like, you know, Crawford is. He's like the king of like awkward silences. Like, that always happens. Like, he did that with Afro Man like 5 times.
Proud of it.
and
Holds up well. Proud of it.
and all
Holds up well. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. That's just very funny to me. Hold on.
Holds up well. Proud of it.
and all those people, like, you know, I just think about people who lost their legs, and
Yeah.
you know, just they're Spalding. They're over at Spalding.
That's Cryford just trying to like add more fluff. Be like, oh, I care about victims too. So let's talk about the victims who lost their legs and decided to keep running.
You know, and it's a good movie for all of us. That was just good for us. I like that it was Mark.
You know, you're talking to the author that the movie was, the author of the book that the movie was based on, right? You know that you're talking to the guy, and you're talking about how great the movie was. Why don't you? He's proud of the book because he wrote the book. You're supposed to say, good book, not movie. Like, basically, Cryford is, you know, just spitting in the face of anybody who's like, you know, well, the book is so much better than the movie. Because I guess this guy's the exception to the rule. This guy writes a book and the movie is better every time. Is that the case? Is he's the one author out there where the book isn't better than the movie? Is that is that the case with this guy? The book was so much better than the movie. Well, not Patriots Day, no. And according to Cryford, not Patriots Day. Yeah, I feel like I'm definitely a movie over books guy. If you couldn't tell, I'm definitely a movie over books guy. See, I'm evolved. I've explained this before. I'm evolved. Okay, you know why? Because movies are just the evolved versions of books, technologically evolved versions of books. That's it. Like, I love those people. I love those people who are like, the book is so much better than the movie. Well, why was the book so much better than the movie? Because the book allows you to use your imagination. And you could just, you know, you could picture the landscape the way that you want to picture it. You could picture the characters and how they're dressed and the way they look and how you could do. But I'm like, yeah, but a movie did that for me. I don't have to do that now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's there. They got costume designers and fucking location scouts and what do you mean? Movie's way better. It's way better. What do you mean? I don't have to read it. I don't have to read the movie. It's there. I can hear the characters in the book speaking. I don't have to read what they're saying. I don't have to worry about punctuation. Because as soon as that person stops talking and the other person starts talking, I know the difference without blinking ever. It's great.
Wahlberg and Dave Wedge and Casey Sherman. I mean, that was like, it was a good, when locals cover local stuff, like we needed something like that to get us through. I thought it was really good. I'm proud. I'm proud that you're here and thankful you're here, Dave. And I enjoyed this conversation, your time, and I hope people buy your book and all your books. We posted it up there. They can check out all your books, davewedge.com.
But if they're making a movie about it, people don't buy the book. Okay, just wait for the movie because that's what we remember.
Is the website if you want to check out any of Dave's books. Again, you have upcoming events, but they're all sold out. Are there any other ones that people might want to check out that aren't sold out that they might be able to get into?
I mean, the big ones are tomorrow night, unfortunately, in Quincy is completely sold out. That one's that's in my backyard. So people are, I'm getting all sorts of calls, but unfortunately it's a small bookstore. So, but Thursday I'm in P-Town. If anyone's down in the Cape, I'm at East End Books in P.
Bro, seriously, dude. Seriously, bro. Dude, Drago, you're killing me, buddy. All right. I'll take at least one call. Phone lines are open.
Call from.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Mr. Donald from Worcester.
Donald from Worcester. What's up, buddy?
Great show tonight.
Thanks,
why,
man.
why am I not in bed?
Because you're retired. You got nowhere to be in the morning.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You're right.
You can do it. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
I don't know if my captain lived in the next neighborhood near me. He retired maybe about 5-6 years ago, and I saw him walking through the neighborhood with his wife. I said, "Hey, Cap, how's it going? What are you gonna do now?" He said, "Whatever the fuck I want to."
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. I did finish my front door.
Okay, right on.
On to the next project. So, hey, I want to talk about Kevin Reddington. You made some good points with him. I'm with you on this whole Clancy thing. It's just a horrible tragedy, but he has exposed the corporate. Probably when they went into the field of psychology and psychiatry for the right reasons, but then they're in for money now, and he's exposing how terrible the system is.
Yeah,
because it's come down to the dollars.
Right, and it's not enough people who actually care and want to help.
But I think about it too. It's got to be a tough field to be in, because how many people are affected by different psychological issues and whatnot.
Sure. Yeah.
And what is the answer? You can't fix everybody. I'm sure they help a lot of people, but there's just people you can't help, and things happen, and you got to be held responsible no matter what.
I agree, because at the end of the day, I mean, what is justice for those 3 kids?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Who gets to say that?
Right. You can feel compassion if she went through some terrible things, but exactly 3 young lives have gone.
Right.
Something happened.
I'm not saying that I don't feel for Lindsay Clancy. I'm not saying that I don't.
No, I understand that, and I'm sure most people do. But
yeah,
but the system has to be is being exposed, and that's good. I think it's got to be a change.
Right, because whether Lindsay wins this case or not, I mean, at the end of the day, she doesn't win. you know,
Right.
like because
There are no winners.
right, but it's a win for Reddington. I think,
Yep.
you know, not in a way that he intended, at all, but it's a win in that sense, no matter what happens, you know, that
Right.
he was
And I
able
think he
to,
knows that going in.
yeah, he was able to,
'Cause
well,
he-
he said in that interview, he's like, I didn't know. He was like, I didn't, as a man, I didn't really know anything about this subject, but now I know so much more, and we were able to bring that out and create so much awareness. And I hadn't watched that interview prior to showing it here because I like to react to these things. And I had actually made that point before I played the interview. So it was nice to see that he sees that, and he's like, yes, this is a good thing that we're able to create this awareness for everyone, you know?
You know, I can't even imagine what it's like for a man like him, that, you know, to get immersed into something that he didn't think he was going to understand, and like, holy smokes, there's a lot to this, and now he's one-on-one with Lindsay, and he knows her. It's a tough thing, but you know, he's a strong fella, that's for sure, and he doesn't take no crap.
Yeah. And I love that about him, and he's just, you know, he's a really good lawyer to boot. You know, so like,
really is.
right, like on top of all that, he's like an excellent litigator, you know.
Yeah. He gives the line out and gives the line out and gives the line out. You take the worm and he reels it back in.
Right. Yeah. He's great. He's great.
We had way back when I was a youngster, I had a guy that got a car chase and a foot chase, ended up getting a stolen 45 off of him. We went to court, and the defense lawyer, not as rough and gruff as Reddington, but he was pretty, you know, but he would ask these questions. Like he asked me, did you do a paraffin test on him? Meaning like gunshot residue.
Okay.
I said, well, no, because I didn't charge him with shooting the gun. And, you know, he asked that question and threw it in the mind of the jury. But I'm looking at the DA going, bro, you got to ask that question and tell me let him know what paraffin questions are. They never came back, and he threw that question out like Reddington probably would have.
Right.
And they're not guilty.
That's it. I mean, at the end of the
He's
day,
a good lawyer.
right. At the end of the day, you know, his job is just to create doubt. You know, as a defense attorney, his job is just to create doubt. That's it. Get the jurors asking themselves questions and scratching their heads and not being able to come to a solid conclusion. That's all you want to do.
I respect defense lawyers that fight for their client to make sure the job was done right.
Right.
And if you're gonna grill me or anyone on the stand, and if I did my job right, that's gonna come out. And then it's as we learned from the Karen Reed case, that job was not done right, and that's why you need good defense lawyers.
Yeah, it's because it tends to be more politically driven on the prosecution side a lot of the times. Like, okay, how's this going to look? Like, are we going to charge this person? And that's based on how's the public going to react to it? How's the public going to react if we don't charge this person?
Right.
You know, so there's a lot of that. You know what I mean? Whereas,
and are we in it for the win, or are we in it for what's supposed to be for justice?
Right. And you know, with the Karen Reed case, it was all about the win for the prosecution.
Yeah. Yep.
Whereas this case,
there's a lot of reasons why they wanted that win.
This case, I can't really say too much. I know that Reddington filed for a mistrial due to prosecutorial misconduct. I know that. Yep. And I know the circumstances why. So, but I haven't watched enough of a trial to form the conclusion that the prosecution, you know, was just looking for a win here.
No.
You know what I mean? I think that there would been, I think that the prosecution is getting a lot of backlash for trying Lindsay right now. But I think that they are more afraid of the backlash that they might get for not trying a woman who killed her 3 kids. You know what I mean?
I'm not even sure if it's. I don't know. In my opinion, is I don't think it's because they are they are charging her. It's the way they are charging her.
Right.
They're just being dirty about some things.
Yeah,
okay, you're gonna
okay.
charge. You think she killed? You think you did it with, clarity of mind? Well, prove it.
Okay.
But don't be dirty.
Right.
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 Let the facts be what they are. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right, young man.
I agree.
Pleasure
with
talking to you.
You too, Donald.
Great presentation, and we'll catch you again.
All right, Donald. Have a good one, buddy.
Have a great night. Thank you. Bye.
All right. That was Donald, y'all. We love Donald. I just feel like I will get to it later. I'll take this last call. We'll talk more later.
Call from
And
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
hey, Will, it's Angie.
What's up, Angie? How we doing?
Good. I do have to say I appreciate you bringing up because the Clancy case is such a hot topic and controversial at times too. But I really appreciate both you and Aiden broaching the subject because it's a conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah. And I'm just not gonna. I'm not doing the whole. The pink shirts for her. All the Karen Reed support is going to be for Lindsay Clancy too. And if you support, if you're a Karen Reed supporter, then you got to be a Lindsay Clancy supporter. I'm not getting with that. And I haven't even heard anybody say that. It just seems like that's the vibe. In some weird way, and I'm just not gonna play that game. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna look at what I look at, and I'm gonna form my opinion based on that. But again, my opinion is, you can argue with it because, and you would by default win it. Chances are, because I have not paid that close attention to the trial as most people have. So it's fair to just be like, your opinion doesn't matter. It's fair.
Right. Yeah, I've been watching it with Melanie, and I think for me it's like I feel sympathy for her because she was crying out for help. Like she begged for help. And all they wanted to do was push pills and more medication. And and the fact that she called the suicide hotline twice and they told her, well, you don't have a plan, so you're not suicidal. And it's that kind of stuff that's really frustrating. And I think that, as someone who has been through postpartum depression, and a lot has been said about how she didn't tell her providers about the suicidal and homicidal ideations. And it's been brought up that she as a medical professional, because she was an L&D nurse, she's a mandated reporter. So she knows that if she were to tell her providers what she's actually experiencing, there's a good chance that the kids would have been taken away, or she would have been separated from them.
Wait. Okay.
And then
stop.
Okay.
Because there, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying that if she had given her true feelings of what she was feeling, then there was a risk of her being separated from her kids.
Yes.
Well, then if that's the case, then that's what should have been. That's what a responsible
Right.
parent would have done.
Right.
You know?
But then you look at like the Kelsey Fitzsimmons situation. It's the same thing, because look at like how long she was separated from baby C, and now she's just starting to get back. Like he called her mama. Like that was the most recent update that Lori Mullins put out, was like they're trying to do away with the supervised, because she's still under supervised visitations with the baby, and they want to do away with the supervised visitations, but the dumbass who's the baby's father is not being cooperative with that.
Yeah.
So
Mazza is holding a fundraiser again for Kentucky Maverick and Kelsey Fitzsimmons on Sunday, and I'll be making an appearance on that just to give you guys a heads up.
yeah, but it's a very interesting situation, because Kelsey also was dealing with, now hers wasn't as severe as Lindsay's, but she's still dealt with the same situation, and she's,
it's not the
comparing
same situation. It's not the same situation, because Kelsey wasn't, to my knowledge, feeling like she could murder her child.
Right.
So the thing is a parent who is genuinely seeking help, and if they're seeking help because they're a new parent, or they're a parent, right? And they're seeking help, they're seeking help generally for the sake of their children's well-being. No?
Right.
Okay. So if that's the case, then if she's having those thoughts, one would rush to the doctor and go, I'm having these thoughts. I can't have these thoughts anymore. Knowing that, if it's for my child's best interest, then yes, put me, I will inpatient somewhere for as long as it takes to make sure that I don't have those thoughts about my child. You know what I'm saying?
And
like that's what any parent would do who loves their children. No. So
yes.
So the excuse of, well, I didn't go I wasn't honest about my feelings about this because I was afraid that they might take my child away. That's very contradictory. So yeah, I don't know if that's what that was actually the case. I don't know if that's just what you're saying, but if that's actually the case, then that's a problem. It's a real problem. Hello? Okay, I lost her. All right, well, I am going to wrap this up, folks. People, no, I am perfectly okay. I don't know if how much of the stream you caught, Jody 617. And I understand that the mental health system failed her over and over again. I'm not denying that. The question is whether or not this is an excuse for killing 3 kids. That's the question. And of course, depending on the circumstances, it could be. It absolutely could be. But I can't bring myself to go as far as to say that I support I almost said Kelsey Fitzsimmons. I absolutely support Kelsey Fitzsimmons. That I can't go as far as to say that I support Lindsay. I just can't. I can't say it. But I also can't say that I want to see her go to prison or I want to see her punished. I don't feel that way. I just feel like this is one of those cases that justice, I don't think that anyone deserves justice more than children who were taken from this earth by the very same person who brought them in, and trusted them to guide them until they were old enough to be on their own, with everything that they have. It's all they know. I what's justice for them? So I think that question is a fair question to remain. But regardless of what that justice is, this trial, I believe, is a great example of what our justice system was designed for in the first place. And this is, again, like I said, this is not one of those trials that you would say is a waste of taxpayer money. I don't believe that at all. I think it really got to a lot of core problems with our mental health system today. And that's important. But it's not up to me to say what should happen to Lindsay Clancy. It's not up to me to say that. I was talking to Kaylin about this earlier, and I was saying, I'm not, just as an example, I'm not a death penalty guy or against the death penalty. I just accept that the death penalty is a thing, and when there's a case or trial that I'm following or a trial that I'm covering where the death penalty, it's in a state where the death penalty is on the table, you'll always hear me say the same thing about it. I'll say, well, do I think this person's guilty? Yeah. And they should absolutely be in prison. Sure. They should be removed from society. They've forfeited their right to society. But it's not up to me to decide whether someone should live or die, if that's justice or not. I don't feel that's for me to say. I don't feel that it's for me to say whether a woman should be, able to abort their child or not. It's not for me to say. I'm not a woman. I've never been there. I don't know. It's not for me to say what a woman should do with her body. I don't know. I don't know what the right thing is. But my thing is that I just, when it comes to things like this, that's the reason why we have a courtroom. That's the reason why we have a jury of our peers to decide our fate. And I think that this case is a perfect example of why this system is necessary. Because even though, like I said, no matter what happens with this case, no matter what the verdict turns out to be, a lot more people are now aware of the problems, just some of the problems that exist in our mental health system today. So, and I think that's really important. So, if a jury decides based on all of the facts, I think, Reddington did a fantastic job of defending her, as good a job as any attorney could ever do, I think. Based on what I've seen, I think that whatever the outcome is, the jury will make the right decision. And I genuinely think that, You know, the jury will make the right decision, and whatever happens will be justice. I believe that. So, on that note, guys, you guys are absolutely fantastic. I love you guys very much. Remember, it only takes a second to stay safe. And being retarded never stopped anybody from being a good neighbor unless you're a McAlbert. Guys, I love you very much. Thank you guys for all the support tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me so late. Shout out to Jolene for sending y'all over here. And rest in peace, Dolly Parton, the great Dolly Parton, and Tim Curry. Guys, I love you very much. We will do this again very soon, my friends.
Today, being retarded means leading a full life. Retarded people go to work or school just like their neighbors and come back to a real home, a supervised home, right in the neighborhood where they belong. Being retarded never stopped anyone from being a good neighbor.
You don't come to my franchise, ask for a water cup, and then get it cut.